right, here we go. Dambria says she's late, but she made it. And you know what, Dambria? You did. You made it. And thanks for joining us tonight. This is going to be a fun episode where I teach you guys best I can a little bit about what I know in regards to the tattoo industry. So tonight's a little different than the typical live stream because this is Friday, not Wednesday. So for you guys, ladies and gentlemen, looking for the typical show, you're going to have to wait till next Wednesday, right? Episode 92 will be waiting for you. But for now, maybe we should turn down the music a little. For now, we're going to get into tonight's topic, which is going to be the top 3 mistakes tattoo artists make. And you're going to want to stick around because it'll probably be not what you expect. It's not like, oh, you suck at lines or you stink or, you know, your art sucks. This is a little different. This is going to actually be set up in a way that's a little more business oriented because I do believe those are related to the biggest mistakes tattoo artists makes. Most tattoo artists know to tattoo and to make money. But what they don't realize is that's a small, very, very small portion of what we do as tattoo artists or even business owners. The key here is to understand tonight, before we get into all the topics, that it is about being a business owner. And so if you are not a tattoo artist, if you're watching this, whether it's pre-recorded or live tonight, join us in the comments. But also, if you're watching this, then we'll do a Q&A in a little bit, and we'll be able to get to your guys' questions. So save them for later. We're going to go through a nice little PowerPoint. That sounds so boring, but you know what? It's actually kind of fun, and Amber Graham just whipped it out in the last few minutes, so we're prepared for it tonight. So everybody, thanks for joining us. We're going to get into it. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background for those of you that are new to this show and or new to me. And if you're watching this and have questions, like I said, let's do that here in a little bit. So Levi, thanks for joining us. What's up? Carson's on here. Carson is a aspiring tattooer, right? Carson, what would you call yourself? Let's know in the comment section. Please let me know. You're an aspiring tattoo artist. Carson has been doing this for years now, and it'll be really fun to hear your input here in a little bit. So Brody, Jade, Victoria, Dominic, what's up, Dominic? Thanks for seeing us, joining us, calling us. You're not calling us. Thanks for being with us. Long-time listeners, no-time callers. Christy, thanks for the flags, as always. So don't be scared to get in the comment section, guys. I want to go over something really quick, which is really simple. I have been tattooing for a very long time and teaching plenty of people, and I myself have made tons of mistakes all along the way. So this will help you, whether it's in tattooing or business in general, and maybe even just in life, that you'll get something out of this. And what I'm going to share with you, again, is the top 3 things every tattoo artist gets wrong. You're going to want to stick around to the end because the Q&A part is going to be probably a little more digestible in regards to like maybe being more nuanced to your guys' specific scenarios. Some people tattoo out of their home. I'm not necessarily knocking that, but some people tattoo out of their home. Some people tattoo out of shops. Some people tattoo fake skin. Some people just watch videos or whatever. There's a million ways to learn. I mean, most of the people that I know that are really good, to be honest with you, learned in prison. So there's no necessarily right or wrong way to do it. But tonight I'm going to shed some light on how you can understand to best fit yourself in this industry and be more of a professional and start out with the right foot instead of, let's say, screwing it up like the rest of us did. You guys don't have to do that. So tonight's episode will be about that specifically. So the things that we're going to be talking about, I'm going to bring you guys in here. By the way, we're going to have some co-hosts here joining us soon. So you're going to want to stick around because they're some of the coolest people and you might know who they are. So stick around. Carson says, yeah, definitely an inspiring self-motivated artist. I've come a long way, and that's for sure. That's awesome to hear, and hope all is going well with you. Okay. So just like last episode, I like music, so I'm going to probably through and through just kind of sprinkle in some stuff. No, God. Okay. All right. So let me bring you guys into, let's click on this. A little bit of tech happening here. Let me figure this out. Okay. Here we go. So this is going to be tonight's topics. This is going to be avoiding the common pitfalls, the top 3 mistakes tattoo artists make in business, social media, and dealing with failure. So this is kind of 3 separate topics, all related, but I think probably the most important. That was pretty epic. In business, social media, and dealing with failure. I should mention too, guys, we got a guest in the house. I'm not going to put her on the spot or throw her under the bus. Barkus. The bus, Barkus bus. She can't say hi. She doesn't have a mic, but she has headphones, so she gets to. You are fake news. She gets to hear everything. So thanks, Barkus, for joining me tonight. And the co-host will be here in a little bit, so you guys stay tuned. So what we're going to talk about is those three things, and I think we're going to start, of course, with business first because I think that's the number one mistake. Number one. So we're going to go in order of the things I believe to be most important in regards to the biggest mistakes people make, and we're going to start with business. Okay, I already see a lot of people jumping on into the comments. That's really cool, but you guys just know that you can save your questions till a little bit later, but feel free to still send thumbs up, send some love and support, and show us or let us know where it is you're watching from, where you're calling from, and just say hello. If you guys just want to chat amongst yourselves, we'll go through some of this information right now. Okay, so here we go. Avoiding common pitfalls. This is the thing in regards to business. A lot of people think that if you're going to be a tattoo artist, a lot of people think about this just in general in regards to business. Like if you sell hand soaps or body butters or sugar scrubs, or you rub crystals together, or you are a auto shop, or you are a detail company. It really doesn't matter what you are. You can be a small handyman outfit or something. People think all the time that the thing that you do, the product or the service, is the business. And I'm telling you right now, it isn't. That's the product or service, right? If you are a tattoo artist, you essentially are selling a service. It's not necessarily a product. Yes, you might be the product itself in a way as the artist, but really you're selling a service to people. And if you're somebody who's in retail, then you're probably selling most likely a product. Some people do both, right? Like for example, we have retail in our store, we have aftercare, we have t-shirts and merch. But aside from that, mostly we are actually doing a service. So to understand that, let's go here to this next one. To understand that, what you got to know is that the service or the product that you're selling and working with and delivering to your customers is just a portion of what you actually have to do. So if you don't already know that, you should. If you're interested in business and you don't know that, you'll get a lot out of tonight's episode. So let's rock and roll. So first off, of course, everybody, like I said, thanks for joining us. This will be very interesting because I'm going to try to be as raw as I can with you guys and make it through most of the slideshow before the co-hosts get here. So we'll have a very interesting night, and they'll be able to join us because they are our assistants / apprentices / artists. So they have a lot of this experience. Everything I'm about to tell you, they've already heard. So here we go. What are those three mistakes? The number one mistake tattoo artists make is assuming that tattooing is the business. And that is a big mistake, and we'll get into why. Of course, mismanagement of social media and client communication, that's everything, because if people don't know who you are, you're invisible. And in today's world, I would actually say we're entering the realm we already have where your social media presence is more powerful than your physical presence. There is more information about you online than there is in the physical world, and you can leverage that. And if you're not, you're losing, and it's stupid not to. It's also, and we'll get into these details, it's also disrespectful. So, for example, if someone were to come up to you and say, "Hey, really cool work, man, nice art," and you would just stare at them, that would be super weird, right? So if somebody comes up to you on Instagram, and because there's a digital space between you, you think, "Oh, that's a like, that's a comment, that's a share, that's a subscriber or a DM," and you think, "Oh, cool, that's Instagram, that's my platform, that's an audience." No, that's a human, and it would be just as weird to not respond to them as it would be in person. And if you think of it that way, you will absolutely do much better. Okay, and then of course, last but not least, and in the correct order, quitting too soon, dealing with perceived failure. So quitting too soon, that's everything. People feel pressure and they feel the stress, and we'll get into the details, of course, here in a minute, but they feel the stress and they will not know whether or not it's positive or negative, and we will try to debunk that for you in regards to it being a negative, let's say, signal. Okay, so mistakes in business management. This stuff can be kind of boring to some people. If it's not boring to you, that's awesome, because I love this type of shit. As an artist, as a creative person, I start to realize that one of the biggest pitfalls that I make is in management, whether it's with myself, my time, my people, my team, but especially with finances. If you're a tattoo artist, here's what happens. You tattoo somebody for 4 hours, you make X amount of money, and then you think, "Wow, I'm a tattoo artist who just made $400. I'm in business." And maybe you're right, but don't make the mistake of thinking that just because you worked for 4 hours and that you made 400 or X, Y, or Z amount of money, X amount of money, don't just think that you only worked 4 hours, because you didn't. You had to acquire the customer. This is where people go wrong. You had to acquire the customer. You have to nurture the customer. You have to treat them correctly. You have to clean up. There's all kinds of overhead. There's all kinds of things you have to do, of course, ahead of time. And you have to learn how to account, right? This is key. You have to learn how to account for all that time. To some people, this is no new news. But for a lot of tattooers, I can tell you right now, the people that I work with, they think, I'm going to tattoo, I'm going to make money, and I'm rocking and rolling. And they end up taking 5, 10, 15 plus years to be able to realize that, wow, I should have just listened to Josh in the fucking first place. And now I'm going to square one because I tried to skip steps and it just simply doesn't work that way. So you work for 4 hours as a tattoo artist, and then you get $400, and then people tell you all the time, man, you made $400. That's really cool. Your response should be, my business generated $400. I did not. And that's where a lot of people make the biggest mistakes with their budget, is because they think they have $400. And for us adults in today's live stream, and for you watching later on in this pre-recorded message, you know for a fact that you do not have $400, whatever the amount is after expenses. So again, going through this slideshow, budgeting effectively is, of course, important. Super boring stuff, I get it. But if you suck at it, well, that's what your business is made up of, is the cash flow that you have. And then, of course, next to that would be not accounting for business expenses. Everybody has expenses. So again, if you think you made $400, you definitely did not. Your business generated $400, so you're going to have to understand that. And then, of course, at the end, the boogeyman for a lot of people is ignoring taxes and legal obligations. Yeah, don't be stupid and hire a professional. Do your best. I've been in this for years now, doing it pretty much my whole life. And I can tell you right now, there's always questions, there's always hiccups, and there's always things you have to learn. And it's forever changing. So good luck with that. But don't skip these things, right? I should stay on the slideshow really for the rest of tonight's episode. But of course, we have more to get to. But I want to point out that if you shortcut these things, guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you don't have a business. You cannot have an effective business without getting these things done. So you need to understand that 100%. Okay. You know what? No, I don't think anybody's let me know either yet for the live stream. If everything looks good and sounds good, I hope it does. It definitely does on my end. I mean, look at these cameras. Look at this guy. Do you hear that? Hear the fan in the background. Here's somebody stirring around back there. What's going on? I'm just kidding. It's totally cool. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. So this is, of course, really important too, because if you want to have a business, here's what your business is made up of. It is made essentially up of your customers, right? So in regards to making these mistakes in business, you have to understand that inadequate client management is to the detriment of everybody, because you don't have a business if you don't have people, right? If you need someone to sell to, you need someone to work with, you need someone to purchase your products or services. And that is key. If you don't understand that it's people you're working with, like I mentioned in social media, then you're fucking ruined, because people think all the time, man, I got a new like or subscriber. I got 3,000 followers. No, you have 3,000 people. They're not followers, right? I know they're called that, but you got to get that shit out of your head, because that's not what it is. Same with understanding that, when people reach out to you in a business, it takes so much. And if you guys are in business, you know this. If you're just getting into it, you'll find out. It takes so much energy just for an individual to be able to gain attention, to be able to get attention, to be able to get in our shop, our physical brick and mortar, to get people to come into the door, to phone call, and to email. It takes a lot of energy. Matter of fact, I would say that if you were to break it up into quadrants, the majority of my energy is not in tattooing, it's not in designing and drawing, and it's not even in my whole life learning how to do these things. It's literally in client management. It's in personal management, time management. It's figuring those things out. If you cannot figure those things out, you're going to lose a ton, and I'm still working on those things. I actually just bought, I haven't used it yet, but I'm excited. I just bought a personal timer because I like to talk a lot. That's why you guys are here, because I like to share. And sometimes it is to my detriment. And I'm not the only one. Other people have this issue or this feature as well. So understanding that you need to, inventory your energy and where it goes, that's super important, because you only have so much of it. So I bought a timer so that I could actually time. It's pretty cool too. Amber, did you see it? Yes, I did. I think it's so cool. Barkus actually opened it for me. So anyways, this timer is cool because it has 4 different sides, and you just flip it over. And if it says 60 or 10, whichever one's pointing up, it will take that long to count down and then beep at you. Well, that'll be great for me, because what I'm going to do is have Amber Which, by the way, Amber, thanks for joining us tonight. Let's see if I can camera switch appropriately. What's up, Amber?
What's up, everybody?
Wait, let's see if we can get a better shot. Look at that.
Sorry, I can't. Oh,
Look at this. This is Ambergram. Let's get that mic close to you. Don't be scared of it. It's not a snake.
Okay.
There
Or
you go.
how close it needs
As
to
close
be.
as you can be. Almost like you're eating it.
Why, hello.
Wow. Do you hear that? Let's try that one more time.
Why, hello.
Just a complete repeat. That's awesome. Ambergram, thanks for joining us. I'm going to need your help in time management because that timer is going to help me and help everybody else pay attention to the amount of time we spend being productive and the amount of time we spend being, let's say, less productive.
So does that mean I get to cut your random conversation
All of them.
short when it goes off? I'm just like,
Yep.
sorry, done.
We get to pick.
Done.
We get to pick 5, 10, or 20 minutes depending on, or 30 minutes depending on what we're doing. So if we're doing like a review, it shouldn't take 2 hours.
Correct.
Or if we're catching up on something, it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes.
Correct.
So it'll be really a cool timer for both of us to use. Super exciting. Okay. Let's see here. Back to me. Okay. So anyways, going back to the mistakes in business management, right here in this slide, you're going to see poor communication. Poor communication is in those aspects, right? People walk in your store, people give you a call, or maybe you don't have a store. Maybe you work somewhere else's, or maybe you guys right now are working with clients on your own, maybe somewhere private. And here's the thing. If I could go back in time, one of the first things I would change in regards to how I've treated my business was learning how to manage clientele and also learning how to capture their information. And here's why. Not just because you want to spam them, you shouldn't be doing that. Not because you want to disrespect them or, con them, but because you want to be able to treat them appropriately. If they came to you and you did the energy to get their attention, then what you should be doing is treating them appropriately. And that's not just one interaction. See, a big mistake a lot of people make is they get a client, they make some money, and they go, cool, let's get another one. Well, it takes infinitely more energy to get a new client than it does to just treat your existing clients better, right? This is what I built my business off of. I wasn't looking for new clients. I stayed booked out pretty far. Sometimes if it's a real busy year, it could be up to a year. So, people stick around. And I can tell you right now, if your business isn't doing well, you're probably not treating your people very well. So treat every individual like they could be your literal star client. So don't forget that. Okay. We should also, too, since she loves to be put on the spot, we're going to introduce Jessie. Jessie, you don't have to say anything, but thanks actually for, well, you know what? Maybe your camera's complete. Look, Jessie's camera's black.
It knew.
You know why? She's like,
Thank goodness.
She's like, I don't want to be on there. Let's see if we can fix it. Let's see what happens here. Maybe, look at that. Look at that, Jessie.
Here I am.
It's all focused on her eye. Look at this. What's going on in here?
So that's a stunning eye.
There we go, Jessie. Jessie, what's up? Thanks for joining us for the first time ever on our live stream. And so you don't have to feel so weird. Check it out. Ambergram does the same thing. Look at her just rocking and rolling.
Just hanging out.
Yeah, we're just hanging out.
I should have put intro music. Let's do this. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
Ambergram. The man, the myth, the legend. Our personal assistant / hole puncher piercer person. And Jessie, nonetheless. Guest artist turned permanent?
Permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Permanent artist. Specializing in fine line tat. I'm totally kidding. Okay. Anyways, let's go back to I don't want to lose anybody, but you guys, thanks for being here. Let's get into this. So Ambergram and Jessie, if you guys have any input on some of these things, I'll go through these slideshows that were put together so beautifully, and then you guys can give me some of your input too, and then we're going to do the Q&A once we get through all this stuff. So the slideshow is pretty short, so that's a good thing. We won't bore you forever, and the Q&A can start because I think that's where it's going to get real fun. Brody Jade is throwing in her 2 cents. You guys can have fun with that. Brandon, I don't know how to say your last name, but what's up? Thanks for being on here. I know it's a little behind in regards to that response, but thanks for joining us. And the rest of you, of course, thanks for joining us. All right, so mistakes in business management. There we go. We talked about poor communication, failure to set clear expectations. Man, that's a good one because it's failure to set clear expectations for yourself and for your clients. There's so many tattoo artists that don't realize you're the one sending out the signal to the world. You're the one speaking things into existence. So if you're not getting the results you want, it's because you're sending out the wrong signals. You're saying the wrong things, and you're teaching your clients how to treat you. Right? People know this in relationships. You teach people how to treat you. It's the same thing with clients. You absolutely have to let them know what it is you're trying to do, what you're trying to work on. One of the last conversations, actually, me and Jessie had, since she's new to the shop, was basically about that we talked about if you're not getting the results you want, you have to nurture your customers or the audience, the people you're working with, people that come in and talk to you, whether it's the first time you talk to them or the 10th time you've talked to them, letting people know what you're doing, which is such mind-blowing simplicity that's how you get shit done. If you have an event and you don't tell people, nobody comes. If you have a tattoo style you want to do and you've told nobody, guess what? Nobody's going to ask you to do it. If there's something you'd like to accomplish and you've not sent that message effectively out into the world, well, then your results are going to be pretty shitty. Okay, so and then the end of it is handling customer complaints and disputes. Yeah, that's going to happen. I don't care who you are. I don't know how good you are. And I actually would think that kind of the better you are, the more people expect of you. So yeah, I see this all the time where a lot of people up and coming in terms of being artists and tattooers, they get a lot of praise for people because they're at the bottom and they're thinking, man, this is really cool. Let's encourage this person. And they get a lot of that love, which is awesome because it feels real good. And then once you start to get better and better, people actually have higher expectations of you. So handling these complaints, if I get them, everybody else gets them, you guys are going to get them too. That's just the way it works. And learning that you're not going to please everybody. Little side note, my experience has told me that typically, and not that you should treat people this way because you never know, but typically the people who are the most picky and people who come in and want you to bend over backwards for them, they're usually absolutely the least thankful, even when you do go, the extra mile. And those are going to happen, right? Especially if you have a damn Yelp page. Good luck. May God be with you. Okay. Let's see here. If you guys are watching this, ladies and gentlemen, and you guys want to jump in the comment section too and let us know where you're watching from and what you're getting out of the show or what you look to get out of the show, if you're a tattoo artist or a business owner or just a lurker, which is totally cool. We're down. Just let me know. I see some of you in the background and you're not saying anything, so we see you. Make him feel uncomfortable. Okay. Max Green. I'll say mistakes in social media and marketing. Before I actually answer this, Amber Graham, can you do me a favor?
Of course.
Of course you can. Get real close to El Mico.
Okay.
I can barely, you know what? I can barely see you, so I'm going to do this.
Okay.
Amber Graham.
Yes, sir.
So you've seen me talk a lot about social media. You've seen me, make a lot of these episodes, and I even me, as much as I feel like I do, I can absolutely do better in social media. Do you see how much I try to work? Like, what is your experience on the back end of it? Seeing how much I try to work on building my social media presence.
It's constant. It literally never stops. Everything, every situation that you're in, even with tattooing, with new product, with shop updates, like all of it, you try to keep everybody in the loop, like as soon as possible. And I have seen you stay way past tattoo times and way past normal hours just to make sure that social media presence is there and that people feel like responded to and engaged with and part of a community, because that's a huge part of, I think, why people buy into certain aspects of social media more than others, right? Is it's a community. So in order for them to feel connected to you, then they have to communicate with you regularly and you have to communicate with them regularly, right? And
Correct.
The way that you choose to do that is through social media engagement, because obviously it's super important, as we will go over. But yeah, like it's constant. It's never ending, right? So
Yeah.
even when you're tattooing, even when you're in the middle of a session, whatever, it's like, hey, can you get images? Can you get clips? Can you get this? Can you get that? Because you want to showcase the journey and you build not only that client's relationship, but then you end up building additional relationships through showing other people the process and what's going on kind of behind the screen, but in front of it at the same time.
It's like bringing people on the journey with them.
Yeah.
With you. That's
100%.
definitely important. Amber, what a gal. That was like, man, I feel like I should just stop and you could come over here, or I'll just keep the camera on you and we'll just keep reading.
Okay, sounds good.
That was actually really good. I do want to add too, in regards to that, I'll put the camera on me sometimes. So in regards to the social media part, I like to point out that, if I still have to do this, I'm booked out months at a time. I haven't been booked out in the last 10 years for less than 3 to 6 months. And I mean, booked solid. Sometimes it's up to a year. If I have to do these things and I'm already booked out, right, and I have a wonderful clientele So wonderful that sometimes they join us on our live streams. Barkus, you know what? You deserve it too.
You are fake news.
Okay. So anyways, I want to let you guys know that, social media, even think about it, the people that are at the top of their game are using it extensively. They're doing it intentively, and they're definitely dedicated to it. So I think we're past the days of thinking that social media is some fad, right? And I hope that we are, for you boomers out there watching. Totally cool. Mean that respectively. That social media is here to stay, and it's the new digital version of what a handshake is, what a greeting is, what a smile, what a compliment is, even what your word of mouth is. So if people like me or other people that are way beyond me in regards to their performance, to their skill level and their business level, if they're doing this, you don't think you have to. So don't be dumb and basically get to work. And it is, like Amber was pointing out, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And guess what? You're not going to see a lot of results from it for a very long time. Which little side note to that is, those who put off the rewards for the hard work longer typically seem to do better. If you need rewards now and it's not working, if you're 4 months in to some sort of endeavor and you're putting your heart and soul into it and it doesn't work, and you're like, nah, it's just not working. Yeah, nothing works in 4 months, dude. Nothing. So stick with it, and don't be a wuss. Let's get going. So again, talking about social media, at the end it says, showcase your work and attract customers. How else do you expect to do it? Whether it's in person, right? Back in the day, you'd walk into a shop and you would see people, every single person had a portfolio that you could see, that you could look at. And I don't think a lot of people know that, because tattooing now has changed so much that you have a digital footprint. And yes, you should have both, but definitely do not skip. And we are not the best at it, I'll be honest, because the digital footprint's so important. But don't skip out on your portfolios, especially if you're a new artist, especially if you're just coming into the shop or a shop and you're looking to work somewhere. Do not skip the portfolios. Take it away, Jesse. You knew I was coming to you. So what was one of the first things that I made you do before you came into the shop, asking to, work with us or join us in any way?
Well, you told me do not come to you without a portfolio. And I had the pleasure of Josh picking through my portfolio and telling me what's not good about it and what I should have in it. Great teacher that way. So now I can be proud of my portfolio, but
Yeah.
yes,
And
it's so important.
What are some of the key and also important to let people know that respect their time and show up correct. And so thank you for eventually doing that. I know a lot of people need help in understanding these things, so I'm more than willing to teach, but I'm also one of those people who, if you don't get it the first time, like, here's the info, do the work. If you don't do the work, there's no further conversation, because you got to respect people's time. And you definitely got it done. So what were some of the tips I gave you in regards to how to put your portfolio together? Like some basic, straightforward stuff.
So I had a lot of other artwork on top of just my tattoo work. And you're like, scrap the other artwork. It's great, but it's not what we're looking for. It's not what artists are looking for when they're taking in an apprentice.
Right.
It needs to be focused on your tattoo work. So I cleaned it up, have pretty much only tattoo work in it now. And just having my best first and then keep it going.
Yeah.
Just
And how many pieces? Like, roughly speaking. I mean, there's no real definitive number, but
I think I have about 10 tattoos in my portfolio at the moment. It's not a very big portfolio because I did scrap all my artwork, but it's fine.
you know what's interesting about that, though, is when, I saw your work jumbled up with a bunch of, it was a cluster of stuff, cluster of Fs. And then I kind of gave you some pointers. You brought it back. And once you brought it back, even though I had already seen all of that work before, it being in the correct order, and at least to my liking, which helps to, have somebody coach you through that and guide you. It helps a ton. Getting that second opinion could mean a lot, especially from someone with tons of experience who's seen hundreds of portfolios and whatnot. You bringing it back more organized, like, it was like looking at a completely different set of art. So the way it gets organized, the way it gets put together, massive, right? And we go over this stuff a lot. There's actually a video I'll do my best to link after this. I'll put it in the description for those of you watching later on, or that want to maybe watch this later on our YouTube channel here. there's a video that we talked about this extensively. It was one of the first ones I invited Ambergram onto, and so we go over all of this stuff. So you'll get a lot of that. So don't neglect that video if you're interested in those things. Okay, let's get to the next slide. So mistakes in social media marketing. This is posting inappropriate content. Jesse, I'm going to go straight. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to. I'm going to go straight to. No, I'm actually just kidding. Only
You're gonna
because
go straight to the slideshow because
Yeah.
it's not up on the
I know.
screen. Okay, that's what I was like. Please,
it'll
they
eventually,
don't know what the next.
it'll
slide is if
eventually
you don't
get
show
there.
them.
It'll
Okay.
eventually get there. I was showing you guys because of the inappropriate content that you don't post. I was trying to be funny and didn't work. But here's the truth. Inappropriate doesn't mean obviously exactly that. It just means, is this sending the message? Are you posting things that are sending the message to people and provoking them in a way that's getting the response that you're looking for, right? Are you a new tattooer and you need people that trust you and to work on simple designs, which if you're new, you should be doing. Simple designs are key, right? We talk about that all the time with new apprentices. And you should be putting that out there, letting people know that that's what you're doing. Let your friends, let your family know, let people know that here's where you're at skill-wise. And I called the bat signal, not to be confused with the, anyways. So the bat signal is really important because you basically send it out into the world, and for people, you're basically calling upon people to get a certain reaction, right? If you send out the bat signal, you want Batman to come. If you send out the signal that you're a tattooer, but you're not telling them that you're new, you're not telling them that you're doing small things, you're not telling them that you're doing things that aren't so technical, right? Things that even if you did, let's say, mess up a little, that's something you could fix, or somebody else, that's helping you could fix. Then if you're not starting out that way and you're not letting them know, then how do you expect to get those clients? Or you're trying to advance like Jesse is, and you want to start doing realism and portraiture or something a little more graphic. How is that going to work? So what are some of the things, Jesse, in regards to that too, like making sure that you're posting appropriate content for the results that you want? What are some of those things we've talked about before?
So posting for sure. Word of mouth is huge in regards to like having someone come in, and so I can practice realism. I have to have specific people, but it's definitely something that I want to. But posting, like I tried word of mouth, letting a girl know, hey, I really want to do this tattoo. I haven't done anything like it before, but I am very much wanting to do it. And she let me do it. Came out great. I was super happy with it. She was happy with it. And then from there I can post that and then say, give me more pieces like this. I want to do things like this. And yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, because when you post, you have a picture, you have text, and you have, if you're sending a video, you have audio. So you should use those things to your advantage. So, it's weird to say this because it seems so obvious, right? And I can say it to everybody right now and they go, oh yeah, duh, Josh, that's obvious. But so many people don't do it. And I know this because I don't even always do it, but you have the opportunity to post an image, right? So you get visuals, or you have a video. You post a video and you get video and audio. So you have visuals and audio. And then you can also write something in the comment or the bio section, the text section, depending on what platform. And so you have all these opportunities to write something, to show something, to say something, and then also to respond, right? Those are all the features you can do just on one post. And how many people just post? They say 2 or 3 words, maybe a hashtag or 2, or a ton of hashtags, but 2 or 3 words. They don't write anything after it. And when somebody responds, they give them a thumbs up or say thanks, but there's no conversation. That is all opportunities for you to grab the ability to be able to show people essentially, what is your bat signal? What are you trying to ask for? What are you trying to provoke? And those are things we talk about all the time with all of the artists, because all of us can do better in regards to that stuff. Ambergram, what do you think?
Sorry. So something that I think is very basic too, that maybe beginners take for granted, is having a separate account for the business or the practice or the product with which you were trying to do, because I think that can, without being right, like people hear inappropriate content and think like X-rated,
Right.
but no, just like, I mean, I love my kids, but if I want people to come into a shop to let me pierce their body, having it on a page that also has family pictures and stuff honestly isn't ideal, nor is it appropriate, because it's not showcasing what you're wanting to do, right? So I think one thing that, at least that I've seen so far, right, that beginners and entry level people do is they kind of mush. I can't think of the right word. I have a word. But their like business with
Like they
their
don't coincide.
personal life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so even if you have to start somewhere. So you might as well start with 1 or 2 images on a completely separate account that you can build, because over time you're going to end up needing a second one. Like you even look at semi famous influencers, even if you take, the tattoo artist aspect out of it, they have a private account
Right.
and they have a public account.
Mhm.
And I think that is insanely important. That way you can gear your public account and filter it to who you're wanting to see it without boring them
Right.
with mundane things that don't apply.
Well, and one of the things to that as well is that a huge mistake people make is they look at people who are already well established. They look at a famous person. They look at somebody who has millions of followers, somebody who's already a star, or somebody who already has something successful built, like a business or just attention around their brand or personality, and they see what they do and they think, oh, I can do that. You can't do that. You don't get to do what they do. It's like saying, this is really popular hype over the years that they go, what's up millionaires, or now billionaires, what's up billionaires morning routine. Well, it won't matter to you. You don't get to do that. You don't get to sit around and take an hour in the sauna and do some journaling and go sit on the beach and go surfing and clear your mind and then go to work. That you don't get to do that if you're starting. That is definitely not what they did to start. There's no pictures of these people climbing to the top while journaling, sitting in saunas and surfing. So what I mean by that is, you can't look at what somebody who's successful is doing, that especially on their social media platforms specifically, and go, oh, I'm going to do it like that. I've made that mistake too, because I think, wow, they post a lot of personal stuff and it works. Like their page isn't even very well defined. Well, we don't get to do that, right? So one thing I'll add to this as well is that in regard to social media, that it is like business. What tattooing is to your business, which is the product or service. Business is this big. Your product or service is like a constituent of it. It is not the thing. It's part of it. And it's very, very important, just like the rest of the constituents of what a business is. But your business is huge. It's a lot of shit to do, and tattooing is just a part of it. People get that bass backwards and they think that tattooing is the business, and they do a little bit of social media marketing and some little tiny, business stuff, and maybe have some paperwork to do. That is not what it looks like at all. And if it looks like that to you and you think it's going to look like that, you're in for a rude awakening. Social media is kind of the same way. People think of it as like some platform, something kids do. It's TikTok, it's social media, it's Instagram, whatever, YouTube, right? Which, by the way, if you folks are watching this on Facebook instead of YouTube, you should go to YouTube and watch it there, because it's a better platform for sharing these things. So anyways, you don't have to, but you should. So those of you on YouTube, thanks for joining us here. So the thing is with social media is it's the big leagues. Just like business is, social media is the big leagues. You are now competing with people who are really, really determined about, in regards to their presence, their social media tactics and tools. They're snipers now. People are. This is real life stuff. Just like business is. You're not going to just go on there and take it lightly and find success. So it's big leagues. That's the best way to put it. Just like business is, right? Tattooing. Look, tattooing's been around forever. Cavemen did it. I'm not knocking it. Obviously, I'm a tattoo artist. I think it's awesome. But what I'm saying is, don't mistake the fact that if you're tattooing, right, you've screwed up a couple of your friends and made $20, right? Technically lost probably $20, and start to build a shitty reputation. You make a couple posts and all of a sudden you're the cool guy and you get a couple friends saying, man, that's really cool. That's awesome. And you get the hype. Don't let that go to your head, because it is all just fluff. It's not real. And you're going to fall flat on your face, or you're just going to end up spinning your wheels and getting nowhere. So take my advice and take the business aspect seriously. If you're wondering what the business aspect is, which we talked about earlier, we'll get into the Q&A sections. Hopefully you guys ask questions regarding this, because this is what it's about. It's about client relationships. It's about building client relationships. Your business is about the clients and you and your relationships with them. And if people don't know you, they don't buy your stuff, then you don't have a business, right? So you need to learn how to get attention, and that should go without saying. But again, it's obvious, but people get it wrong all the time. Okay, we actually skipped, and I say we, I mean me. We actually skipped a slide, so let me go back to this one before I bring that up, so we don't miss this one. Here we go. Okay, so don't neglect your social media presence. Have an active presence that puts more eyes on what you do in your craft, right? So that's exactly what we've been talking about and going over. The next one's engage with followers and potential clients. So another another huge pitfall people make is they think, oh man, I don't need more. I've heard this from really, really successful business owners, which is very interesting that they've gotten so far with the wrong information. They've told me, oh, I don't need more customers, Josh. I'm already booked. I already got plenty. Yeah, well, here's the thing. You can always go through your customer list and you can refine it. You can always get more quality customers. You can, or for me, I want to do portraits. I want to do realism. I can get more people, right? I'm already booked out 6 to 9 months, sometimes a year. I can't take more people. But then I ask myself, well, can I though? Like I go through my calendar and I look, which Ambergram's helping with, the star of the night. So I go through this and I think, oh man, I actually can get more customers, more of the type of customers that I'm looking for. As an artist, I have things that I want to accomplish. And so I have to find those customers and have to do work to look for them. They're not going to come to you, right? Get that through your thick skull for sure. They are not coming looking for you. You have to find them, right? Especially at the beginning. You're not The Rock yet. You can't just post something about some alcohol beverage that you're promoting and then all of a sudden be a billionaire. It's not going to work for you. Not that that's exactly what he did, but a lot of people do think that it's that simple, and it's just simply not. Okay, let's go to the next one. Ambergram, do you have anything to say about that in regards to like the social media presence stuff? Anything more to say about that? Because I think to me, this is the most exciting part of actually tonight's, before we get to the next topic, like the social media presence that.
Well, I can say I at least, right, from the time I have personally implemented some of these things, that I have seen, and like you said, right, it's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be this huge thing, but still, I've seen growth from it, and that's exciting. And you have to take each individual like and comment and whatever it is, as you've said, as a human, because that's what it is, right? So within the short amount of time that I have been trying to grow my social media presence, it's really exciting. And maybe that's something to bring up too, right? Is it's going to take time for some like major growth, but also enjoy the small victories. Like if you get one person who comes in because they found your social media account,
Super cool.
super freaking cool, and realize that due to your comments and your presence and your images and how quickly you responded, or the combination of all of those things, that you got one person. And that's amazing. Like that is something to be praised, even if it's not 50, right?
Sure.
Like it has to be a slow process and a slow growth, but be so excited for that. I mean, I think now I can officially say that I've had 3 appointments just from finding me on social media. And that's so cool.
Super exciting.
That's so cool. Yeah, it is.
It's interesting you say that, because the people that I talk to that are really successful at whatever it is they're doing, for example, somebody I've had on the show before, which is Woody. If you guys haven't seen that episode, you should definitely watch it. He's been actually on twice, but the first episode I did with him was really exciting, learning about him and how he started as a tattoo artist and built his social media following, which is something to be definitely admired. What he has done is pretty amazing, and he's just a rad person. But what's interesting is he will even tell you that his first 500,000 views, or his first million, when he had that first, I want to say it was 1 million or 5 million views on a video. He's like, nothing's gonna feel as good as that first time. Like it's a lot like a drug, and he tells you this. He's like, nobody ever prepares you for the fact that it's never gonna feel that good again. That and what he's really pointing out is that the treasure isn't in just continuing to get more and more and more, and like you always look, not that you shouldn't strive to grow and to push, but to understand that like the value in one person. Like people, I do this all the time. I'll post something, get 20 likes, 20 views, 100 likes, whatever, when maybe in the past I was getting 2-3 times that, and I think, man, that's just not enough. And then I'm like, man, if there was 20 people in this room, that's a lot of people. Like, don't undervalue. I would rather sell to 20 loyal people who give a shit about what I'm doing than try to find thousands of people and promote something and try to get a bunch of fluff that nowhere cares about. They're nowhere near you, and they're never going to buy from you. They're never going to be your customers. I would much rather have 20 loyal people to my business and look at it that way. I think that's incredibly important, because then, like Amber said, what you do, if you can understand how important one person is, right? One person comes in and says, man, I saw your stuff online. That was cool. I'd like to get some work done by you, or a piercing, or whatever it is. And, if you can get excited about that, then you're on the right track, because you can keep doing that. You can keep nurturing those relationships. if you're always looking for like thousands or millions or whatever, and you need that to feel satisfied, you might actually be barking up the wrong tree, because those might not actually be your true customers. You might just be entertaining them. They might not buy from you. And again, me and Woody and other people who've built quite a social media following, they say the same thing, that I would rather not have a million people following me and just a small group that are loyal. And they've even mentioned, Woody said this specific to me on the live stream. He goes, it's really cool to see that you've built that. Even if it is 20, 30, 40 people watching at a time, or 100 people, those people are loyal to you. They show up to your events, they support you. And us in the shop know that, because everybody that's here sees it, right? Barkus is one of them.
Yeah,
You bought a cup, Barkus. Yay. Wait, what should we do? We can do this. Let's do both. Barkus. What's up, Barkus? I want you to put the camera on you, but you're lucky. Okay. So let's go to the last part of tonight's episode before we get to the Q&A. The last part of this slideshow, I'm trying to camera switch while also computer switch. It feels really weird. I'm usually on the other end, and Evan does this, but I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right, guys. I'm hanging in there. So dealing with failure. Speaking of failure, I like to point out to my apprentices that when they see me do this, social media stuff, YouTube stuff, creating things online, spending a ridiculous amount of money on gear and stuff that I need to be able to, essentially make all of this work for you. It's a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of time. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of investment. And what I like to point out for them is to see, like, look, guys, I'm not making money doing this. Nobody's paying me to do this. I am currently not famous. I'm not some dude that everybody's, essentially asking to be on their live stream. I'm asking people to be on mine. I'm trying to build my thing. And it's like spinning a never-ending wheel. And what I'm hoping happens, and I'm just being transparent, especially with my my artists in the shop, but as well as the apprentices. Look where I'm at with this. I'm brand new. I'm green. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm doing my best. And you will see me develop over the years of trying, with zero reward. Like, I'm not getting, well, can't say that now because, well, people have literally bought the shirt off my back. But also, people have supported me, and I have technically made money off this, and it's really cool, and I appreciate it. But it wasn't always like that, right? From now to back to 2016, man, the amount of work and money, it's going to take a lot more pushing forward for me to see a return on something like this in regards to, money. But that's not why I do it. I do it because I'm trying to learn, trying to grow. So my apprentices, my artists, people that are working with me, you guys watching that, are trying to become tattoo artists or business owners or both, you get to see me do this. And then in years, we can look back and go, oh, that's what it's like. Like, I can't wave a wand and make myself successful in 5 years at podcasting or live streaming. But what I can do is every year just try to get a little better, right? Show up to these episodes, try to deliver content for you guys that's meaningful. I do this because I want to help. I'm always thinking about the 16-year-old version of me that was looking for this information and didn't have it. And now it's here, right? I'm not the only one sharing this stuff, but I hope that the stuff that I am sharing is unique enough that you guys feel the authenticity and understand that I'm sharing it because I wish I had this when I was 16. I wish I had this when I was 21. Matter of fact, I wish I started doing all this shit when I was 25, when it started getting popular, when YouTube came out, right? I took it as like, whatever. That's for people who know how to record and edit. I don't know any of that shit. But that really all leads to this point, which is dealing with failure. You are not going to be very good at first. You'll think you are just enough to get you started. And it's a bit of a trick because then you start and go, oh my God, I actually really suck. And then you'll start to realize, okay, but I don't mind sucking for a little while as long as I keep getting incrementally better. Jesse, does it sometimes feel like that in regards to tattooing and learning? Like whether you're trying to learn a new part of tattooing or it's even something you thought, oh man, I had that down. And then today it didn't work out as good as usual. Like sometimes you're like, I got it. And then the next day you're like, I lost it. Like, do you ever experience that?
Oh, yeah. Like trying to work on.
I don't know why your camera keeps going off.
It doesn't like me.
It doesn't like me. But keep talking. I'll put it on Amber, and then you'll be on this side. Keep going.
Yeah, like experiencing like you're getting super good with your line work. You're feeling really good about it, and then all of a sudden you tattoo a new part of the body, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's completely different. Like you kind of have to. It's so easy to get caught up in the negative and get lost in just the bad parts that you're doing, but you need to take that and learn from it and just use that as an experience to be better. Okay, you take what you had, you're like, okay, that won't work out. Next time I'll try this. And usually it works out. If you work hard enough, it works out and you can grow from that, and it's great.
I think that's the important part, is understanding that, like, if you don't start, then you're never going to get better. And if you're scared to start and you're scared to fail and you're scared to suck, then you're definitely not going to get better, because you will absolutely not be that great at first. And then you start to feel it, like you said, and all of a sudden you're doing great. And it's like, oh, this is awesome. You get a little bit of hype, and then you feel like you lost it again. I think it's important to understand that that's not permanent, that you can get past that. That's just an illusion, essentially, that you can deal with. And I think that's where a lot of people fail. I don't know what it is. I think people, I think they get to a point to where they are essentially trying to only start at something they're good at. And then if they start to feel not so good at it, which is the whole point of this dealing with failure part, once they start to feel like they're not so good, they take that as, I must be on the wrong path. Like, oh, I'm not doing so good. Man, I thought I had it. I lost it. And I've seen people in that very moment over and over and over in my lifetime. I've seen them quit right then and there. They're like, this must not be it. It's too hard. They do this in relationships, especially. I think all of us have seen this. People get in a relationship with somebody, whether it's professional or personal, it doesn't matter. And it gets a little rough. Somebody says something mean, right? It gets a little tough, and the people bail and they think, oh, this must not be it. Well, oftentimes that is actually probably where you should stay and keep working on. I'm not talking about, putting up with somebody in an abusive way, even whether it's professional or personal. But what I'm saying is that it's going to be difficult. And I think that's where a lot of people quit. And it's unfortunate, because that's usually a sign that you're maybe on the right path. So you can't always take it. Sometimes you have to take it exactly like that with a grain of salt. So I got Carson on here saying a little bit ago, I've always been loyal to the Facebook streams, though. You know what, Carson? I'm cool with it, man. If you want to watch from the Facebookies, I'm totally cool with it. But for us YouTube crews, it's just cooler on this side. It's just cooler. I didn't realize, actually, now that I think of it, that YouTube, the sign, I probably should hear me say this, the sign is red, and Facebook, the sign is blue, and YouTube and Facebook don't like. Anyway, I'm going down a dark path. I'm trying to fix fix this camera over here for Jesse, and I think I got it, but keeps showing the. Let's see if I can go to it. Jesse, I'm just going to test with you real quick. I think
Here I am.
there it is. See,
Jesse.
I don't know what it's doing. It's like cutting out on you and going, we don't really. Here, let's just
That's okay.
just give him a little love. Yeah. Okay, Jess, thank you.
She's using her telepathy and letting the camera know that she doesn't want it on.
Is that what's happening?
It's
She's like, please, dear God, please.
Yeah,
please, dear God.
don't
Okay.
let me be on the show.
Don't, please.
Okay, I see what's going
No,
on.
I'm happy to be here. It's okay.
That's still, you know what? Jesse's awesome. Like during the paint night, which Barkus, you were there. Jesse's like, oh, I don't know. I've never done a paint night before. I don't know what to do. And it was like 5 minutes into paint night, and I'm walking by her with the microphone, about to set it down. She was like, give me that. I'm like, what? I thought you didn't know what to do. And it was like by the end of the night, it was the 10th time, I think, that she grabbed the mic from me. And I was walking off once. She was like, hey, just leave that here. I'm like, Jesse's got this. So she'll sit here and act like, Jesse, have you ever been on a live stream before?
No.
Have you ever been on camera on?
First time.
Really?
Well, when I was little, I did reenact
maybe we
Twilight on
shouldn't go there.
YouTube. No, we reenacted Twilight on YouTube.
Is
I
it,
love
does it
that.
still exist?
I hope not.
It
Oh,
does.
well,
It's the internet.
You just
right?
made people
So-
want to go look.
Well, I was Alice, in case anyone was wondering.
Yay! I love that.
Okay.
It was fun.
We're getting sidetracked, but I love that.
That's super cool. We don't have the timer, so it's
also,
fine.
I do think Jesse's MO is saying that she doesn't want to do something and then being shockingly naturally good at it.
Right.
So
Thank
let's give her
you.
that.
Yep.
She's like, no, I don't like speaking in public. How's everybody's night?
Hey,
man?
everybody.
Let's go.
Yep.
I did
We're
have some help with
painting.
the paint night.
It's
You know what? But
It's
hold on.
fine.
Like
so
so far, Jesse, every time she's done something like exactly that point. This is true. By the way, I told everybody you were coming on, Jesse, so I'm sure they're excited to see you tonight. This is the first time, at least on my end, that they're seeing you. So far, she's been pulling nothing but rabbits out of the hat, and just I like her style, because she's like, I can't. Give me that. She's like, Pool, I'm not very. Give me that. I'm like, what? Everything she does.
It lowers your guys' expectations.
And that's what it is. And then it
Not
makes you.
I
anymore,
do
though.
okay.
Not anymore though, because now you're like, we can't do that. And we're like, we don't believe you.
Yeah.
Oh,
We don't believe
shoot.
you.
You see what you've done?
You guys need to believe every word I say, you know?
Yep. I'm just not good. I've never done this before. I'm like, Jesse, this is your third episode.
Shit.
This is your third episode. You're just gonna have to get over it.
I've never been in front of a camera. She has her own YouTube channel.
Yep.
Not that you guys know of.
Dominic's on here saying he can't wait for his kneecaps next Wednesday by Jesse and Peaches.
I am very excited for that.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's I'm excited to see it happen. He's gonna get both, right? Both kneecaps at the same
Yeah.
time. Okay.
Simultaneously.
Okay. Super cool. Super cool. All right. Let's see here. Let's get back to the slideshow. We're almost at the end of it, and we get into the Q&A, like I said. So hold your guys' questions for just a little bit longer, or at least start thinking of what they may be, because the Q&A section will be, I think, the funnest part for tonight, the most fun part for tonight. Also, Barkus, if you have anything you want to ask, then keep that in your mind, and we will answer you. Or if you want to get on your phone and text it through the, if you want to watch on your phone so that we get more viewers, you're more than welcome to sit there and be in the background. Yeah, just
Say less.
do your thing. Okay. So getting back to the dealing with failure part, the reason I put this towards the end of tonight's topics is because that is exactly what it is for people. It's the end. They feel failure and then they quit. And it is, I'm telling you right now, that's why you will never go through with anything worth it in life. You'll find yourself fucking just ruining your life and sucking forever because you just keep quitting when it gets tough. Like, stop doing that shit. Push through a little longer. As long as something is tolerable to the level that your safety isn't an issue, right? Your mental or physical health isn't an issue. Keep pushing. And people will, to be honest with you, because I get this a lot, people will tell you all the time, you don't have to work so hard. You don't have to push so hard. Like, why don't you just take it easy? You don't need to, maybe tonight's okay to, take that break or whatever. And I'm telling you guys from this end, don't listen to them. Appreciate them and their love and support for you, but ignore them. Say thank you, but just turn the other way, because I'm telling you, most people aren't working very hard and they're not trying very hard. I'm not saying most people aren't going through hard things, but I don't think very many people have pushed very hard through tough times, whether it's, a tattoo artist wanting to become really great or a business owner wanting to build something wonderful. You're going to have to weather storms. Nobody who's ever built anything disagrees with that. They will all say the same thing in their own words. So don't get it twisted. Okay. So again, going to failure is a learning opportunity. It says cope with setbacks and disappointments. It's exactly what I'm saying, that you cannot let that be let it be a speed bump. Don't let it be a barrier. Don't let it be a roadblock. Recognize when to pivot or make changes. This, I will tell you right now, you will not be good at until you make tons of mistakes. To be able to recognize and pivot and then make changes, what you're going to have to do, I always say it's a lot like dating. I have a little bit of experience with this, but I've heard from a lot of people that dating is this way, that if you're a guy and you want to learn women, what you're going to have to do is date a lot of girls, because you're not going to be able to listen to one girl. She's going to give you her 2 cents, and you're going to have to date another chick until eventually you start to go, oh, I can triangulate. Kind of like if you understand how vision works. Your vision works because you have 2 eyes that triangulate a position. If you just had 1 eye, it's really hard to be able to use your depth perception. You have to have multiple. Did you see me close my eye? I was actually going to try it with 1 eye.
At the depth perception as well,
Because you don't have it?
because I don't have it.
because
I
she's
have
blind.
4 eyes and I don't have depth
If you guys saw her play pool, you would know what she actually means here. I've never seen anybody squint so hard.
Oh, and lining it up and then just...
Yeah. She gets it. She had it, and then she fixes her glasses and then comes back to it. I'm like, you lost it.
It's different if
No,
it's
I dig it.
above or below the glasses.
I dig it.
This
I
helps.
totally
but
dig
if
it.
I can't see through them, it's a whole. Anyways.
Very true.
Yeah.
We digress, but it's a perspective thing. So everybody in the room can do this if you guys like. I don't have to put you on camera doing it, but I actually saw this on YouTube just the other day. If you take both your fingers and you try to look at them and push them together, it's pretty easy to do. If you look, real easy. If you then put your hands back down to your side, literally, I'm doing this on camera, so I look like an idiot. So close 1 eye and then put your hands back out and try to make them touch again.
We're all trying.
Your eyes are
This is
wide
terrible.
open. Both of your eyes are wide. Jesse, go.
Wait, hold on.
Jesse, do it.
Oh, actually,
they
I did a
crossed.
good job.
Okay, but you have to. So put them back.
They
Put them
didn't
back at your
point,
side.
though.
Okay.
Okay, close 1 eye, then put your hands up straight out in front of you, and then do it. You did okay. You did okay. You
I can
overlapped.
tattoo with my eyes closed. Is what? No, I'm just
Wow.
kidding.
Okay. Ambergram, you want to try it?
Sure.
Okay. This doesn't really count.
For comedic relief.
Just for comedic relief. That is it.
Okay. Do I have to use my dominant eye or non-dominant eye? Does it matter?
Kim says
'Cause
she
that
has
makes a
astigmatism.
I do have a see. Kim knows.
Oh, I love Kim.
I love you, Kim. Okay, let's see. What if I do with my bad eye?
Let's see what happens.
See how bad it
Let's
is.
get those fingers to touch.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So back to
That's my bad eye. See?
back
I
to
thought
our
she was using her
her
fingers.
bat eye. That's her bat eye.
My
This
bad
is the
eye.
one that can't see.
It can only see in the dark.
Yeah. So there we go. You guys saw it now. I hope I could just clip that later on and keep it forever. That was great, and she wasn't kidding.
I have night vision. Maybe that's what it is.
Okay. So the bottom part with
Can
dealing
we
with
turn
failure.
off all the lights and
Yeah.
then see if I
No,
do
we
it
can.
better?
Yeah.
Okay.
We totally can after the show's over.
Okay.
So the last part of this slide is dealing in regards to dealing with failure is be resilient and persevere. Sorry, preserve. Actually would have worked too, but persevere. So be resilient and persevere. You're going to have to, for all of you aspiring tattoo artists or aspiring business owners out there, or anybody out there trying to do something difficult, you are going to have to be resilient. Get some thick skin and grow the up. Because I muted myself. Did you guys hear that? It was pretty good. Yeah, applause. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Awesome. So cool. So anyways, being resilient and growing thick skin oftentimes is exactly what most people need to do. I have a few people, aka Jessie. I'm just saying. Jessie has thick skin. She actually does. She's a tough cookie. Don't let her twisted tea drinking fool you. Probably shouldn't say that online. I'm going back to me. So being resilient is a thing. The people that are the most resilient are the people that seem to be able to progress the soonest, the fastest, the easiest, I should say, the smoothest. Really, is all it is that resilience. If you've never had a job before, I've said this so many times lately. This is quite a discovery of mine. If you've never had a job before, if you don't work in a profession that's high pressure, Amber Graham believes that if you've never worked in customer service, right, that should be a requirement for. You said that with about everybody.
Literally,
right?
Every single human being should work in retail or restaurants once in their life for an extended amount of time where they cry. Like that. I'm sorry, that should be a requirement.
You need that walk into crying. You know?
need the walk into crying. Yes.
Okay.
100%.
There's a quote.
Like,
okay.
Because and I don't know, maybe I'm biased because my very first job was in retail, and working a Black Friday at 15 proves to you so many things about humans that you wouldn't even realize.
Right.
And then having years of like, you can't piss off anybody as quickly as you can a white woman with a gluten allergy. I'm sorry.
It's true.
You can't do it.
They call that something.
Do they?
They I think they I don't
Karen?
Oh.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's what she said.
That's what, but it really, like, if nothing else gives you thick, like, you can't logically function in society if you can't handle those things.
I agree.
Like, it's true.
I totally
You shouldn't
agree.
be allowed to be a parent unless you can handle someone yelling at you about their food being incorrect. Like, you shouldn't. There's so many things that I think it applies to that I almost wish there was like a work program
Right.
that required people.
We should start a
work,
camp.
to work in the food industry.
It's voluntary. Don't worry.
or customer service. You know, there's some capacities that I think are a little bit softer than others, but I think retail and the food industry teach you so much so fast.
I completely agree. Actually, I think that's something that I, as a tattoo shop owner and artist myself, and somebody who likes to, have apprentices and teach, I love. If I had to close down my whole business and keep one feature, honestly, I would have to keep tattooing to make money. But if there was something else other than obvious of me tattooing to make money, I would like to keep the possibility of me helping others grow. And what I noticed is it's mindset first. It has nothing to do with your skill. As if you have a mindset that's appropriate, right? They say bet on the horse, not on the rider. That you have to understand that your skills are just the rider. That's all it is. Like skills, talents, whatever. People can develop skills, and everybody has different talents. But the actual person that you are, which is the horse, the workhorse, the thing getting all of it done, I bet on that, because if you are resilient, if you can persevere and you can put up with, look, someone getting your food wrong or yelling at you or having a customer service issue, this is like really light work. This is light work. This is not heavy work. For some people, it's the heaviest work, and they just
You can't handle the truth.
they just can't do it. I've been wanting to use that button for a while, so I just threw that in there. But they just can't handle it, and it's really quite embarrassing. And I think it's a real disservice that you've done to your children by not letting them go through tough stuff, and you haven't spoke to them in a way that's allowed them to learn how to manage themselves. And for all of you kids out there that come and want to apprentice with me and then come to my shop, and you don't have your shit together, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not necessarily going to be the nicest to you. I have expectations, and my expectations are not by any means extravagant. They're basic stuff. And what happened was these kids come in whose parents have never put them through anything. And then I let them know what they need to do. And I say something like, get your portfolio together. Do not come back in here without that. And they will come in over and over and over with no portfolio still and claiming that they're ready. I've had these words spoken to me. I think I'm ready now. I'm like, really? It's been a year. Did you get portfolio together? No, but I think I'm ready. I'm like, get out of here, in not such nice words. And they will tell others, man, he was a jerk to me. He was such an asshole. And I'm like, y'all parents did your kids a disservice. Jesse, take it away.
I've even said this to Josh. I thought I had it figured out. But before I worked in the previous jobs I did, I would have been a completely different person coming in. I was still shy in the beginning, but I learned so much in how to talk to people, how to handle difficult situations like that, and how to deal with people that are just not having a good time with you.
Yeah. You have to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really matter where you're going to work. Eventually that's coming. Those days are coming.
Oh yeah.
So you would say that like dealing with certain customers at such a high pressure level have benefited you massively in being able to come in and be a tattoo artist?
Insanely. I handle people so much better than I would have when I started my first job at 16. It's an insane difference.
Night and day. And it shows, because look at her so natural on camera, just doing her thing. Just over here, rocking and rolling. Look at her. I'm just going to let you guys do that for a second. Look at her.
She's gorgeous. She's gorgeous.
What a natural. See what's happening? And I'll also mention this too. So even with Ambergram, you coming into the shop, everybody has said this since day one, that you coming in and having the experience you've had, which is pretty extensive in the customer service realm and even the planning sort of stuff, you've been able to manage this stuff too at such a high level because it's an experience you've already had. And probably to you, this probably feels like light work. Because to me, it does. I've dealt with way worse shit than the stuff people bring into the shop. This music is not appropriate.
I was like, wait a second.
I'm on a horse. But
She's
what do you...
riding to the sunset.
Yeah, so it's even funny, like it's almost comedic for me to hear you say that you're mean. Like if there is one word that I would never use to describe you, it would be mean.
Oh, good.
Like
doing
mean.
good.
No, I'm just
I'm
kidding.
mean. I am mean. I can be mean.
Kim's going to be so proud of me. Kim, thanks for joining us tonight. You got to hear it from the horse's mouth.
No, but in all honesty, like asking and requesting basic things in order to, right? Like you need X, Y, and Z to make A squared happen. Well, then you need X, Y, and Z. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that,
But that's not mean, but people will consider it that way.
But that's what I'm saying. But that isn't mean. Like, and I know we've had this conversation before where I'm like, well, wait until you have a chef yelling at you with a knife in their hand, literally cursing you out.
Ass, you son of a...
Yeah, right? It's like, and even that isn't considered, okay, maybe that's mean, maybe, right? But like, if you can't handle being told sorry, no, that's not mean. That's an answer.
No,
like,
you're right.
That's insane to me. And so, yeah, there's not a single, like, I have never... I know I have seen you frustrated. I know I've seen you in some stressful situations, right? But I've never heard you raise your voice once.
Yet.
No.
It's rare.
I don't know if it happens. And I think if it ever does, I think I'll laugh because I don't know if I'll be able to take it seriously, in all honesty.
I'm really glad Kim is watching this right now.
I don't know.
And maybe, it is what it is. But the point is that like, and you brought a really good point to it too with this younger generation, Like, I look at people, I'm like, there is nothing you can say that is worse than something my mama has said to
Yeah.
me before. So
Right.
good
Yeah.
luck. Like,
But you use,
and I love my mother and I respect her tremendously. And
Amber Graham, do you want to talk about it?
I want to talk about so many things. No, but like, you know, it's just one of those things where it's just like, you can't, if you literally just can't hear the word no or that's not good and think that that's mean, you have a whole lot of other work and things to work
Yeah.
on. So I do think that requiring previous work experience in some capacity is extremely important.
100%.
Like, I have agreed with that since day one.
Congratulations, Amber Graham, for the best response of the night so far.
So far.
Jesse, don't be mad at that. There's always time.
It's okay.
Just give it time.
I think if Josh yelled at me, I'd be like, oh. Oh.
He's like, oh, okay. Just start singing.
She'd be like, are you
Okay.
lying?
I'll
Are
do
you
my
lying?
share impression.
Yeah, that's it. Just share.
Yeah.
Share away. Okay, so let's get to the last part of this slide real quick, and then we'll get into the Q&A. So we've really already kind of covered all of this, but we'll talk very specifically about this section in regards to your network and your support system, your team, right? Which is the best way to put it. So dealing with failure, you need support and learning from your mistakes. So here's the thing. I actually think you're only as good as your support system. You can prove that with raising children. Your children will be screwed if you are no good. Your team is the same thing. You are only as good as your team. Kim actually said something about football and something else too. Okay, so in regards to team, if you don't have a good team, right? If you have a weak player on your team, whether it's a battle strategy or a football strategy or something in sports or even in business, which I actually think is just as competitive, to be honest, I really think that the team is everything. And so in regards to this slide here, build a support network within the industry. Your team is made up of a lot of people. And if you don't have that, it makes things really, really difficult. And I think most of you would agree that anything you do with a good, solid team is going to be infinitely not just easier, but in regards to that, it's going to be better. So take for example, a family who has, a father, a mother, brothers, sisters, grandfathers, it has the whole village put together. Somebody who comes from a good community, whether it's your church or your business or your team or sports, someone who comes from a good school or just a good background in regards to all these things put together, they're just infinitely better at dealing with certain things. So in regards to tattooing and tattoo artists and business owners, you have to understand that your industry, your network in this sense, is built up of not just customers, although customers are huge. Customers are a major part of what you're building, but it's also made up of other team players within your business and also people within your industry, also people within your community, right? It isn't just people interested in tattooing, right? You have to, for example, we have delivery people. We have anything from UPS drivers to deliver. You know what? When's the last time Woo came? What's that? What's up with Woo? I got to call him. Where's my network? Anyways, we have people that come and drop off shop stuff.
Friday today, so he'll be there tomorrow.
We'll see, because he wasn't here last week.
No, you weren't there last week. It was paint night.
But did he show up? He usually calls me. He's came here before too.
Mm-hmm.
He usually calls me. He's like, "Do you need anything?" But anyway, Woo, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I'm watching you.
So need gloves.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
So anyway, your network is filled with lots of people, and you're only as good, I think, as your team. So build a good team and treat people well. Tattooing, especially for all of you out there, tattooers or wannabe tattooers or future tattooers or failed tattooers, maybe, I don't know. All of you watching this that are interested in tattooing at all, this industry is easily filled with a ton of negativity, a ton of it. And it's unfortunate, but it's reality. It's just simply, it's the majority. And what you're going to find is people judging other people's work. You're going to have people talking down on others, whether it's their business or their skills or their tattoos or their customers, whatever it is, their ideals, whatever. Don't make that mistake, right? Build people up. I promise you, not only will you be better for it, but other people will be too, and you will build relationships. It took me years to figure this out. I thought everybody was my competition to such a degree I shouldn't build a network with them, and I was wrong. Once I started realizing, yes, they are my competition, absolutely, but we work better together, right? What would one team be without the other? You need opposing opponents. So you need that opposition. But that doesn't mean you have to disrespect them. You should do your best to build them up. And I'm not saying you have to go out of your way, but at least at minimum, don't tear them down. It just says a lot about you. When artists come into my shop and they start talking crap about a previous I shouldn't even say this because it's a bit of a cheat code for you dishonest ones out there. When you go into a interview or a shop and you want to work there, and you start bashing your former employers, or really anybody, especially people you've previously worked at, or a shop you worked at in the past, or someone you learned from, or a mentor, you start bashing them in front of somebody like me that you're trying to work with. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a huge fat red check mark. Not good. Not going to happen. Red flag. It's over. And I might smile at you and nod until it's ready for you to go, but you're not coming back because, inventory your words. If you guys find yourself doing this, it's not good. Do not fall prey to that. It's too easy. It's low-hanging fruit. We can all do it. We can all judge somebody, look at their stuff, and say something negative. It takes a bigger person for sure to say something positive and something supportive to somebody, even if they're just starting, right? When people just start, everybody sucks. So again, if somebody like me who's experienced tells you you suck, it's not because I'm mad at you. Like Amber Graham said, it's just us being honest, real, and straightforward. You need to take that criticism from people that you can look up to. And you also need to stop talking shit on others because it's not going to take you anywhere. It just looks really, really bad on you and you will not get the opportunities. So the reason I feel like I shouldn't say that is because I don't want you guys to fake it, right? Because it's going to show eventually. So just be a bigger person and don't go down that path. Okay, so we talked about the network within the industry. Seeking feedback and constructive criticism kind of leads into that too, right? We talked about, time to time being able to grow thick enough skin that somebody can tell you the truth, that somebody says, hey, you're fucking up on this thing. And if you don't heed that and you don't listen, I would say that in every bit of advice, there's something in there for you to look for most of the time. So don't just take it as, especially if it's reoccurring, take it as an opportunity for you to dissect it enough that it becomes useful. If you do not do that and you ignore it and you just say, no, that's not true, you're never going to be able to stare in the mirror and see the person you actually really are. So I say this all the time, that you should be interested in playing the game that's real and see the world for the way it is so that you can do so, instead of trying to see the world in which you'd like it to be and play a game that doesn't exist. That's just stupid. I hope that wasn't too confusing. I'd rather know the real true rules of the game so I can play the game than see the world for what I'd like it to be and not be playing the actual game at all. It's really embarrassing. So look for constructive feedback and criticism. It is important. That's not to say negativity. That's not to say bashing people or talking down on them. That's not the same thing. If you wouldn't say it to their face, don't say it at all. That's probably pretty important. I bring this up, if you can tell, I'm a little bit passionate about it because I hear it a lot. I've worked with artists too, but that I've taught from the ground up that go down this path. They'll start to, and I have to absolutely reprimand them and say, hey, look, like what you're doing right now is not only unprofessional, it's uncouth. Ooh, who doesn't hate that word? I do. But it is very unbecoming and it's really embarrassing. And if I'm going to work with you or you're going to be working with me in my network of people, I will tell you right now that shit's not going to fly. So just don't do it, And it's easy to say, oh, I don't do that. I don't talk crap on people. I'm going to tell you some of the nicest people I know, some of the biggest hearted people, most wonderful people I know, even including me. We all fall prey to it time to time. It happens. It's reality. We're humans. But check yourself and don't be afraid to check others and, inventory your conversations with yourself and also with others so that you don't find yourself, bashing people, but at the same time, understand the difference between that and constructive criticism. Okay, so the last one, implement strategies for personal and professional growth. Amber Graham,
Yes, sir.
can you take that away for me?
I mean, of course
Of
I can. I'll
course
take
you
it
can.
right away.
Of course you can.
So there's, oh gosh, I feel like I just ramble though.
No,
but it's
you
fine.
don't. You do great.
Okay, good.
The timer's on. 2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes. Personal and professional growth, right? So I don't know it as much from the tattoo standpoint as Jesse or Joshua would, right? Because I'm not a tattoo artist. But you do have to. You genuinely have to make time for personal and professional growth, whatever that looks like. Whether that's things that we've already talked about, like building social media presence, like you make it a priority to post. You make it a priority to read your comments and respond to them. You make it a priority to do the things that are required to grow, to make the time to sit down and get constructive criticism, to ask for it.
Right.
That is all in even personal growth, right? Like as a person, if you can't handle constructive criticism from, and I know Joshua really likes talking about relationships with these things, right? But if you can't
Love
handle
it.
constructive criticism from a partner, then what are you doing in that relationship?
Yeah.
In all honesty, like, it's not going to get you anywhere, because you're going to be combative and ugly, or you're going to check out, and then that relationship's going to cease to exist at some point. It's the same thing with building a business. It's the same thing with building a clientele. I know I revert back to the restaurant industry a lot because that's what I know. But when restaurants first open and they have brand new menu items and things like that, or whatever that people are trying, they don't just assume it's good.
Right.
You wait for the feedback. You wait to see if it gets ordered again. You wait to hear what clients are saying or what customers are saying, and then you pivot. And then you decide, right, if it needs more salt or less garlic or whatever. It's so necessary to better yourself. You literally need those things. You cannot get better without knowing what you're doing wrong.
That's true.
The only way you're going to know what you're doing wrong is to get the feedback.
I totally agree. I actually think it's a cheat code. If you want to know a real cheat code, if there's something you guys take out of this tonight, and again, this has one of the reasons Amber brought up that I talk about relationships a lot is because what I've learned in business that nobody ever told me is there's no difference running a business than having a family. There's zero difference, really, other than the potential, I guess, romantic relationship you would have with the partner. Other than that, it's almost exactly the same. Like somebody has to be the leader. Somebody has to be the chief in command. Somebody has to be the follower. Somebody has to be the supporter. There has to be people to listen. You need a whole team, and you don't just have a team of chiefs. That's just not a real thing. So I draw those parallels a lot because it's super, super important. And you need that criticism. Sometimes your kids are right. Sometimes your apprentices are right. Sometimes your customers are right. Barkus. Okay. So sometimes they're right. She's been right before. She's right every episode that I have on the live streams on Wednesdays. I'm amazing and I'm doing great. So thank you. She says it every time. She's right often. So we're going to touch on this for a second in regards to how businesses, because this is really a good point to bring up, how business and relationships, or let's say how families and businesses are almost identical in terms of parallels, and why that's important to understand, especially for the personal growth part and the strategies and how to continue. And then we're going to open it up to the Q&A. So if you guys have questions in the next few minutes, this will be the time. Also, ladies, thanks for joining me tonight. It's been awesome. You guys are doing great. Amber Graham, you are 100% a natural. She always has been, always will be. And Jesse, just killing it. So thank you. And Barkus, even though we can't see you, you know what? You know what you can do, Barkus? You can put your hand out there. Look at that. Barkus is real.
What a great hand.
Yeah, what a great hand. You really did good. That was good. That was really good. We can't hear her because she doesn't have a mic, but we saw her hand. Yeah. So
she's here and she's real.
She's here. She's real.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on that for a second in regards to businesses. And if you're a tattoo artist, you have a business. You're a small business, right? If you're working for someone in a shop, you're still a business. And if you own a shop, man, you just have a more complicated business. So understand this. If you live in California, you are a business.
Even more complicated business.
Yes, 100%. Really complicated. So here's what you guys have to understand. You have to understand that somebody has to be the leader. And if you're a tattoo artist, and you work in somebody else's shop, or you want to work in someone else's shop, then you're not the leader. But if you're a tattoo artist working in someone else's shop, you are the leader to your customers, and you cannot rely on a shop or somebody else to be everything to you. Just like if you're a kid, you can't rely on your parents to get you friends. Like you can't rely on your parents to fight your fights for you. You might be able to ask for guidance or help, and that's at best. But you cannot ask them to do this for you. If they do it for you, they just robbed you of the opportunities for you to grow. So think about this parallel. If you're a parent fighting your kids' fights for them that they could fight themselves, or if you're a parent who does the things for their kids that they should be able to do themselves and can do, you've just robbed them. You've just robbed them of the opportunity for them to grow and to learn, even if they're not very good at it. So I know it's much easier just to put your kids' toys away because you're about to go on a road trip and you're like, I'll just get it done. It's a lot easier to do that than let them know that they need to get this done. They didn't do it last time. And if they don't do it next time, we're not going to leave. It's a lot harder to stick to those guns, but you're robbing them of their opportunities if you don't. And so the same thing happens with business. Yes, I can, with the artists that work with me and Jesse actually just talked about this, I think just the other day. It was maybe yesterday. My days blend together. What happens is if you are relying on the shop or even the industry or social media or whatever you're relying on to do it for you, and you don't do the work, even if somebody else is technically the head honcho or the boss or the owner or whatever, you have to understand that you still have to do the footwork. You still have to fight your own fights. You still have to get your own customers. You still have to nurture them. You still have to talk to them. You have to, find them, right? You still have to promote yourself. You're not going to, unless you're really lucky and you get in a shop that already has a huge following and you get a piggyback off of it, don't make the mistake of letting other people do the work for you. All that's going to do is rob you of the opportunity to develop, which is why, for example, with Jessie, I let her know, like, you have to reach out to your customers. I cannot do that for you. I can do my end, but we've talked about this before. And in regards to that, I think it's the same thing, like I said, with a family. It's almost I almost say there's almost no difference besides having a shop pet, besides having a pet. Ambergram, sorry, we don't have a pet. Besides that, it's almost
well. All I want is a shop pet.
We need a turtle.
No, I want a snake or a tarantula, and I was told no both times.
But a turtle.
A gecko, or a gecko.
Okay. Geckos are cool.
I would love a gecko.
A turtle.
Turtles actually need more space than you would think.
And they can stink.
Yes, because I've had them.
Like pickle water.
They
just do. They're so weird. I like them. They're cool.
Stinks.
Hey.
Let's get a gecko.
Take it easy.
Every pet stinks.
Where are we going with this? Okay, so I wanted to finish that now that we get to the Q&A. I just wanted to finish that and drawing that parallel between relationships, whether it's personal or professional, the parallels of what it's like to own a family, own a business.
Hold on. Time out.
It's 2024.
We don't own families anymore.
Hey, this is my show. I'm going to move. Look, you know what I can do? I can just see that. Okay. I'm kidding.
Did
I'm
you
just kidding. I could.
Oh,
I
gross and smelly.
But what I'm saying is,
what's gross and smelly?
if you own a business,
a turtle,
and you have a family, the parallels are exactly the same. They're almost identical. You have inventory, you have to have stock, you have bills, you have accounting, you have taxes, you have all these things still. You have to get to and from, you have to have resources. If you want to get to work on time, you have to have gas in your car. Otherwise, you're going to lose that. That's pretty important to have ahead of time. So you need inventory. It's really almost exactly the same thing. You also have to pace yourself, right? You should work really hard, but there's also a limit to it. So you need to know that at home. You need to know that at work. It's not any different running a business. I would actually say, since I'd never heard anybody tell me this before, that running a business for the last 5 years, really even longer technically, working for myself for the last 15 plus years, has taught me that absolutely the parallels between running a business and owning a family and having a family is it's almost identical. So
having
if you want
business and owning a family,
yeah,
practically the same
having
thing.
a business, owning a family, running a business, whatever. It really doesn't matter. Good luck and may God be with you. So let's open up the Q&A. Before we do, well, you guys can start asking the questions now because it takes a minute to type. Jessie, is there anything you can say to what we brought up tonight or anything you want to add to it at all? Okay, no. So Amber.
She said, work hard, die hard.
We need a turtle.
That's what she got.
That's what she got out of this whole thing.
That was it. Okay, cool. And Ambergram, how about you? Is there anything you'd like to add to this before we get to the Q&A part?
So I think, though all of it is important, and though I think the social media aspect of it is huge, if you cannot deal with disappointment and failure, all of it goes out the window.
Sure.
All of it.
Because you're saying you will have disappointment.
You
and failure,
will
guaranteed.
So if you can't hang for that, then nothing else matters. You're going to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to make mistakes. I think that hands down, more than anything, you should just accept that and then accept when it happens. And I think it takes a really strong personality. I think that's where people get it confused, is that they think in order to have a strong personality and to be this way, I can't accept defeat. But that's exactly what you should be doing, actually. And I think it takes a much stronger person to go, you're right, I messed this up, I shouldn't have done this, or this was wrong, let me try a different. Like, that by far takes so much more energy than literally anything else that you're going to do within the industry.
Well, and something I was going to say earlier too that I didn't exactly get out the way I wanted was to have somebody who has the experience. Look, if you want to know another cheat code, another really good cheat code, get as close to you as you can. Get physically as close as you can. It doesn't matter if it's through a book or through seminars or through the computer or in even better, always in person. Get as close as you can to somebody who has the results you want and just do that, which is really hard to do. But if you can do that, you're going to realize that one of the best things you can do is be around people who are really good at what they're doing, so that when they see what you're doing and go, oh, course correct, just do this little tiny thing different, and you are absolutely going to do much better. So for example, and this is a really good point to make, that if you are someone like me who has 20 plus years of experience tattooing, and somebody new comes along and starts tattooing, they're pulling a line, they got a brand new machine, they're using some cheap ink, and they're sitting here going, man, it's just not working out. And they might think their machine's no good, their ink is no good. All these factors can come into play. What they might not know is that they're actually doing it right and everything's working. It's just they currently suck. And so that's why your lines come out like crap. But what you don't know is that if you aren't doing it right and it still sucks, you don't know the difference between you're doing it right, you just aren't good yet, or you're doing it wrong, and because you're not good, you don't know what to correct. That happens all of the time. Are you throwing gang signs right now? I feel like Jessie is throwing gang
I was
signs. I'm not
popping
sure
my
what she's doing.
knuckles and I can hear it.
Oh, as far from the mic as possible?
Yeah.
See, I could have swore you were giving me some gang signs down there. Nice. Go slow. Tread lightly.
Sorry.
So anyways, I just wanted to say that now that the Q&A is open, because I want you guys, if you have questions, Dominic, you should have some. I want you guys to be able to ask things regarding this, whatever we touched on tonight, so that we can best help you along your ways. It looks like Ambergram has a question. Ambergram, let's take it off. What?
Sorry,
Take it away.
It's not a question.
Oh, it's a statement.
Just another statement.
Josh, you're amazing.
It has been proven that the sooner you try again after a mistake, actually the better that you do. So what you should not do is make a mistake and then hold back from trying said thing again.
Right.
You should make the mistake, and almost as soon as you can. Right now, you should, depending on the circumstance, and I've already been in this situation in the shop, and Jessie was there to see it firsthand. I won't go into any details, right? But the soonest you possibly can, compose yourself, get your shit together, and try again. Because if you know that you already kind of know what you're doing, it's just the practice part of it now, right? Then you know that there's going to be times for mistakes. And that's when you should, instead of shying away from it because, oh my God, I made one mistake, I'm, this, that, and the other thing and terrible, and I should just quit now. That is when you should do it again.
100%.
As soon as your hands aren't shaking, as soon as you can compose yourself, you try again, because you don't want that gap and that space in time of being able to self-loathe, for lack of a better word, get in the way of you knowing what you already know and then proceeding to do better.
So it's kind of like being self-critical.
Yes.
Like, it's a constituent of anybody who's great. Anybody who's great does not. Something very important to point out. Important. It's super important, because if you don't figure this out, yeah, it really is. If you don't figure this out, you're gonna. So here's what happens. People, they feel a little bit of failure and they think they're not good enough. Well, nobody's good enough the first time they try. Some people are talented in certain ways, so they might seem like they are, but I think skills trump talent, and you can work on skills. Anybody can gain skill. Everybody has different talents, for sure, Jessie. Everybody has completely different talents, but some people don't realize that skills trump talent all day, because usually when people have talent, they waste it. But if you have a skill, you worked hard for it. Skills do not come easy. So the more you gain those skills, the more you hone those in, the better off you'll be. And one skill you can absolutely master is being willing to ask other people who are qualified, not just willing, but be able to, because that's actually its own sort of feat. But finding people who are qualified and getting their input is like fucking everything, because you need someone to be able to help you along the way. Doing it on your own, all you're doing is shooting yourself in the foot and trying to run a marathon. If you're doing it on your own, you don't have a network, you don't have a team, you don't have these people that are supporting you. All you're really doing is taking 10 years to do what you could do in 6 months. And don't make those mistakes, because look, if you're doing any of these things, whether it's tattooing or business building or both, it's already a mountain of work, and there's tons of constituents within it that you are going to get wrong. So if you try to do them all on your own fancy way, thinking that you're special and trying to, let's say, be some rogue business guru, aside from the way everybody else has tried and tested and true, you're going to lose. You're going to lose because you're going to take 10 years to do something that should have taken 6 months, and there's about 100 more things, maybe 1,000 more things for you to do. So you're going to be 60, not really knowing shit. So you need to pay attention to the people who have already done it and get as close to them as possible. I think it's one of life's greatest hacks, actually, is like if I want to learn how to sing really well, like Cher, all I do is I ask Jesse, just let's hang out. Let's do karaoke.
We'll all do karaoke. It'll be a great time.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden I can sing like Cher. Yep, 100%.
My most awkward face.
She's like, get my
trying
hands
to reach.
in
I know.
there.
I wanted my hand, not my double chin.
Yep.
Gosh, come on.
My bad.
I was like,
My bad. Yep. Okay, we're going back to me. So
okay, good.
I don't
good.
see any questions yet. I'm going to skim back.
Hold
If you
on,
guys
there
have
were two.
Okay, if you guys have questions, send them now. This is the time. So let's go slowly. I don't want to scroll that fast.
So I was gonna say, Brody Jade asked if I wanted a bearded dragon. Yes, I do. So just reach out to me when with information. I can't guarantee it'll end up in the shop, but I will take it home. And then there was a question higher up. There's actually two other questions that we should go through. But the one that I think I can semi-respond to is imposter syndrome.
Okay.
There was one about imposter syndrome. And about like I think it said something about how do you deal with it or something.
Okay, let me find that. I think that was
up. There you go. How do you feel about the feeling of imposter syndrome? I think everybody goes through it to a certain point, and I think that the people who say they've never had it just don't understand or have chosen to refuse to feel that way. And I think that it is completely normal, and I think that what you need to take away from any of it is if you are doing the thing, then you're doing the thing. And however you feel about that, feelings can lie to you. It's been, more than proven that your feelings are not always accurate. So if you feel like an imposter, just keep going.
Yeah.
I don't have much more to add to that really, because it's like there's times where you just think like, oh well.
Look, we all start out imposters.
Mm-hmm.
You're pretending to be something you're not. That's what we all do. That's totally normal. Don't be afraid to do it. Don't feel stupid doing it. That's fine. It's totally fine. But don't let that stop you. Be afraid. Fear is fine. Fear is good. Fear is a fine thing to have.
Fear is great.
Yeah, trust me, you want it, but don't let it stop you. Doubt and self-criticism. Great. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Self-criticism all the way down to even sometimes self-loathing, and what would be a better way to phrase that? Like someone who's feeling sorry for themselves, like pity, to a degree, is actually really good, because what you're going to do is not let it stop you. See, if you can face these things, this is kind of like the thick skin we talked about earlier. If you can face these things and get past them, you're going to fare really well no matter what gets thrown at you. But if it's like everybody will say this, there's that one word or that one thing you can't say to me. If you say it to me, those are fighting words. Well, then you've just admitted that there's kryptonite out there for you, and that you have a huge weakness that you're just not willing to work on. Like, you can get over that. It's okay that you have a weakness. It's not okay that you let it stop you. It's not okay that you let it control you. So I think that that's an important part, is understanding not just the thick skin part, but understanding all of these things. Because again, people will feel fear about something. They'll have doubt, self-criticism. They'll be a little bit pitiful about it, and they'll feel depressed or sad or like a complete failure. And they'll think, oh, because based off that feeling, I should quit. And no, you shouldn't quit. That's why you'll never get great at anything. And that's why most of the people that are great, it's not like, I always see it like a football game, even though ironically I don't watch football. I did grow up with my father. Dad, love you. He is a huge football fan. So I know enough about football to be able to see it with a bird's eye view. If you look with a bird's eye view, what does football look like? It's a huge stadium with a ton of people. And really, in comparison to the people watching, there's a few people on the field. And those people on the field are supported by even more people around the field, right? The coaches and the media and everybody else and the rest of the team. The actual players on the field are very few in comparison. And then there's other layers to it as well. Anything from the maintenance man to the janitor to all these people. And then you go out even further. There's people watching. There's people talking about it, buying shirts. There's this huge system, right? If you can understand what that looks like, then you can ask yourself, who are you in this game of life? Who are you? Almost went Dr. Phil. Who are you in regards to your position and what you're doing? If you're in a business or if you're a tattoo artist or whoever you are, again, it goes back to relationships and life and family. Ask yourself, if life's game is like a football arena, who are you? Who are you and what are you? Are you a player on the field? Are you a bystander? Are you a watcher in the stands? Are you a janitor who's never seen a game but works his ass off and doesn't give a shit about the game? Are you somebody sitting on a couch drinking a beer, judging those who are playing and saying, "No, you should have done this and should have done that"? Well, you're not the one getting grass kicked up in your face and chewing on snot and blood and who knows what else. You're eating beer. You're chewing on beer and drinking Doritos. And so it's easy to be a bystander. So all of these complexities that make up football, you ask yourself, who are you in this game? What are you doing? Are you a player on the field? Because I can promise you those players on the field do not know your name. The players on the field don't give a shit. They really don't care about you. They don't even know you exist. You care too much about them and support them. That's why they win. And the important part about this is if you look at this as a whole, from a bird's eye point of view, the people that are winning are the people playing the game. Those are the people that win, not you. And there's very few of them. And there's a lot of yous, a lot of people just watching and spectating. So you have to ask yourself who you want to be. Do you want to be a spectator? And if you want to do this, going back to Carson's question, if you're not willing to be first, feel like an imposter, right? Like a kid dreaming about being an NFL star, wearing the jersey and the pads that are too big. If that stops you because that isn't your number you're wearing, those aren't your pads, the helmet is too big, and you can't throw the football very far because you're 12. If that stops you, even metaphorically speaking, in your later years in life as an adult, then you don't belong on the field. It's that simple. So go home and watch us play. That was mean, but true. It wasn't mean. It was just accurate. Amber wasn't listening. I was hoping she would say that was kind of mean.
That's not mean. Definitely not mean. And yes, I was listening. I can multitask.
You really can.
It's a it's what I do.
It's a woman thing.
Multitasking is literally what I do. No, I was looking up this just because I think it falls in line with what we were talking about. This Theodore Roosevelt quote.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get real serious real quick.
Bastard.
But there's this quote of his, and it talks about how it's not the critic who counts; it's the man who points out how it's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles. And it goes on, says the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly. And this was the point that I was looking for. Who errs and comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement. It goes on and on, whatever. But it's like you erring again and again and again is how you get to be where you want to be.
No, it's exactly the path.
It is
there is no other path.
There is no other way. There's the way of complacency, but that gets you nowhere.
Those are called hobbies. Those are hobbies. Those are interests. Those aren't professions, and those are never people they don't become successful at what they do.
Exactly.
And they're definitely never people who are the players on the field.
You have to err again and again and again to learn.
So you could almost say, pick something, and like our motto, my motto that I impose upon you guys is, fuck it up.
Fuck it up.
Because you're not going to. This is not it. You are not going to be that good. Like my first podcast and first episodes, my first time ever trying, my first recordings, you think they weren't good. They were terrible. They're still not that good. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. But with your guys' support, it's quite a step up. So thank you. But we're doing what we can.
I think, exactly. And I think if you can't look at, and I know I'm a mother, so a lot of my references have deal with children and stuff, but my youngest son's just learning how to walk. And he has at least one consistent bruise on his face right now. And I am not lying. And if he was to have fallen the very first time and been like, that's it, guess I'm not doing this again, right? Like, what? Like, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen in youth. And I think we sell ourselves short by believing that we are less capable somehow than a 10-month-old. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think, Jesse, we're going to say something about that earlier. You looked interested.
Oh, I was just going to add, in regards to failing, diagnose the problem, set a plan to fix said problem, and execute. Work your hardest to execute that plan. And then keep continuing that routine until you have reached that, which you will never reach it because there's always room to improve. There's always room to get better.
This is an incredible team. I don't know where you guys came from or why you're here, but thank you so much because you are doing amazing. You're some very bright, talented individuals. I'll tell you that right now. It's obvious on camera, so I mean that, and that's why I say it because you guys are awesome. I wish I could speak as good as you. I do what I can, and I'm trying, but you guys make it look really smart. So thank you for that, Jesse. That was awesome. That's exactly right. And a short way of essentially putting this is the richest stream of information you will ever receive is failure. It is the richest bit of information you will ever get is failing your way there. And if you don't do that, if you're afraid of that, if that hurts too much, you're never going to go anywhere. You're going to stay mediocre. You're going to stay. And look, the truth is, for most people, that's exactly where they're going to be. They're going to be mediocre. They're going to be basic. They're not going to be uber successful. They're not going to be incredibly, talented at something. They're never going to go very far. And that is fine. You don't have to. Nobody's asking you to. Nobody's telling you to. As a matter of fact, I'm asking you to get out of the way and stop. Let me do it because I'm not special and I'm not made of some special sauce. So I have to try really hard. And the less of you that are in my way, the better. And the truth is, most people aren't even trying to get on the field, right? There's a lot more people trying to get on the field than there are on the field. But I'd rather be those guys trying to get on the field than the people that are criticizing those who are, on the field. Like how many times you see a fight or hear of a fight and everybody's like, oh, why did he do that? Like, dude, you don't have blood in your eye right now. It's easy for you to say with your Doritos and your beer in your hand. So that's, those are all good points. And I think that the important part there is that the richest stream of information you'll ever receive is failure. So what should you seek out? So like, what does that look like, Ambergram? Like if the richest stream of information is failure, if you want to learn and you want to grow and you want to personally develop, should someone just go, well, let's just go fail at a bunch of stuff?
Sometimes, in all honesty, sometimes.
Like to set out and say, look, I'm not even going to try to win. I'm just going to go and I'm just going to screw this up. Let's just see what happens.
And I think that that's now if you have, right, because I feel like at least from my short experience in the industry, right, that I don't know if you guys know this, but tattoo artists are artistically inclined. I know that might come to a shock to a lot of you guys. I know.
Weird, huh?
I know.
Oh my gosh.
But you find hopefully something that you either enjoy enough or motivates you enough to where you understand that this is what you're wanting to do, because you can go and try and fail at 5 things, but if you quit all 5 things, then you're still at square zero.
Yeah.
Right. Now if you try something and you fail and you try something and you fail and you realize that maybe it isn't, there's a difference between it just not fulfilling you and you just being like, oh, well, I fucked that up, guess I quit.
I like that voice.
A difference.
That was
there.
a good one.
But I think trying a lot of things and failing at a lot of things is actually really good.
I agree.
Like, I think it's actually ideal. I think to try and fail multiple times at the same a lot of things is also really good.
Yeah. And it's almost like not necessarily trying to fail, but what you're doing is setting out something you are probably going to fail at, but doing your best and probably failing.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're going saying, hey, let's just ruin this guy's day by just being a complete idiot and jumping in the arena. It's more like, let's see what I got. Let's take something away from it and give it my best.
Yeah. That reminds me of like it was maybe my second time snowboarding ever. And as Kim has already pointed out, I have astigmatism. So that means I'm really bad at snowboarding too.
Thanks, Kim.
But I decided to like just go up on the lift and just make my way down because I was like, well, F it.
How else are you going to do it?
How else am I going to do it? And it was one of the worst times of my entire life. And it took me forever to the point where the people that came with me thought I was lost. And I was not lost. I just sucked that bad.
That's great.
But you will eventually get down.
But yeah, you will eventually get down.
She probably fell down a lot.
Point. Like, all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
And it's not even that I couldn't steer worth crap. Like, I couldn't move. I would just embink. And then I'd have to.
And she couldn't see.
I would have to unclip and move myself back to the path and then unbank. It was terrible. But I made it down, and I think that, and it's the like pure determination at that point too, where I was like, no one's going to find me here stuck.
Yeah.
Like I am getting, but I think sometimes you genuinely have to suck that bad at stuff to not only understand where you're at, but to also understand where everybody else is at. And then to understand who you should be listening to if you want to get better.
Definitely. No,
And
I think that's key. I think if you're too scared to do those things, you're never gonna do anything.
no, you have to suck at first. You have to.
There's a lot of
Very.
sucking tonight. If you guys
There's-
didn't notice, it's just pure sucking. Like we all suck.
Lots of sucking.
We do what I can. I do what I can, and we suck away. I hope nobody edits that. Okay.
Poor choice of words.
Poor choice of words, but it does get the point
Hey,
across.
True.
Hey,
But he gets the
we'll
point
learn.
across.
We'll learn for next time.
Okay, I'm going to read this first one, and then we're going to put Jessie to test see how good she is at reading comments from afar because she's looking at a different screen than I am. Hopefully, it's readable to her. But I'll read this first one. Jessie, you're going to read the next few for me, and then we'll make sure we get to everybody's questions that have been submitted. So Carson's saying, I remember when you commented and praised on one of my first fake skin pieces that I killed. I don't know if he means that I killed it, like it was great. And it was such a good feeling. So what he's saying is to my point earlier of praise and instead of tearing people down does nobody any good. Nothing. Build people up, build yourself up, especially. That you will operate at such a higher frequency for yourself and others. So he's saying, I think it was like a couple years ago. So you must have been tattooing for a while, Carson. And I remember it. I remember you posted something. I'm like, man, that's cool. It was more of a traditional piece, I think it was. And I thought, man, that's actually awesome. So I had mentioned it. And that can mean a lot. That can go a long way, right? Because I received that same sort of support from people too that I think are amazing, and they comment like one of my favorite artists, literally one of my favorite artists of all time, especially tattooers, is just so happens to live here in Fresno. And he goes by Numb. He works at a place called Black Ink. His work just blows my mind, right? Every time I show it to people, they're in the same boat. They're like, well, that's incredible. And every once in a while he'll comment on something I do. And I'm like, I literally feel like it's amazing. It's an incredible feeling. So never underestimate how much that can mean to somebody and make sure you build people up, right? What does Lele say? Tear down stations, not people.
I love that.
Yeah,
We need to make that a shirt.
that's what she said.
That's super nice.
That's a great
That's
shirt.
very
Tear
Lele.
down- That is.
Yeah.
I love that.
That is awesome. So
Oh, shout out to Lele.
Lele, what
Lele,
up?
if you're watching, we love you.
She's definitely not watching. She's definitely not
Lele.
watching. If you're in the
Lele.
background, let's just
If you're somewhere,
let's text her.
Lele,
We should call her.
I think I know
I'm
where
just gonna
she
text
is.
her. Be like, Lele, she's
Rubies.
I do too. She's
Hi,
really
welcome to
excited.
Chili's.
She's so excited for her chili steak.
Okay, so why don't you read this next one right here from Dominic? Let me scroll down just a little so we can get it to the top. There we go. Go ahead.
So Dominic says, do you have any tips and advice on keeping a solid, consistent line? He's heard numerous different techniques such as chewing gum or slowly exhaling or even holding your breath. Something I can give advice to is don't start with a straight line. Do not start with a straight line because you're not going to get it.
Yeah. Unless you're a wizard.
Yeah, unless you're just fucking great at everything and are a winner at life. But most people aren't. So for getting a consistent straight line, start with something small. Start with something that doesn't have straight lines. I can give an example, but just something that has room for error,
Yes.
for sure.
So let's say like a small sort of weird shaped mushroom.
Yes.
I love mushrooms.
Any like plant material, anything that's so organic,
Yep.
that it doesn't need a straight or specific shape to it. I mean, I guess a certain shape. You want to kind of get what you're going for.
Yeah.
But
Right, but you don't have to like definitely no
Yeah.
two parallel lines.
no.
Like a stem with two parallel lines.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
Stay away.
I started with I tattooed the bottom of my toe a smiley face. It had some room for error and it was on the bottom of my toe. I didn't really care. And then going from that, like just things that have shape to it.
Mhm.
Things that you don't need a straight line. Do not start with a straight line.
Real bad idea.
Lettering is so hard
Yeah.
to get down. And line work is probably the hardest part of everything. You can fix everything up and make it look so much better with shading and things like that, but line work is the hardest. So that's definitely something you need to work on with organic shapes, like anything that's plant material or just organic shapes.
Yes.
in general, yeah.
Things that are definitely not geometrical.
Yes.
Symmetrical.
Oh my god. No circles.
No parallel lines. No circle. Like I love when people say this that aren't artists. They're like, oh, I can't even draw a circle or a straight line. I'm like, nobody can draw a circle or a straight. I don't know why they go to, or they'll say, I can't even draw a stick figure. Well, that's fine because that's what, yes, you can. But, well, some people can. I've actually seen it. But they say, I can't even draw a straight line to save my arse. And I'm like, neither can I. Like, well, actually, I can. I've gotten better. But you're not going to just get good at that. It takes a really long time. And to Jesse's point, one thing I'll add to that is draw a lot with pencil and pen. A lot. And I think markers, Sharpies, ballpoint are really good because you have to press a little harder. Stencil things because you have to press really hard to get a tattoo stencil to stick on the stencil paper. Practice stenciling over and over and over. Fake skin is huge. That's probably the closest thing you'll get to really practice. And do this for months on months on months before you even ever think that you're going to take it to real skin. I would actually say probably upwards to a year. If you're just starting drawing, it's at least going to take you a year. If you've been drawing your whole life and you have that eye-hand coordination, that muscle memory, you got that stability, then maybe you can go a little bit sooner. But if you're going to take it to real skin, if you can't do it on paper, you're not going to accidentally do it on skin because it's infinitely harder than paper. So that's what I would say about that. Amber Graham's not exactly a tattooer, but she did one time do fake skin. So do you have anything to add to that in regards to tips of how to do straight lines?
Don't.
Yep.
Don't. Not to
Exactly.
start, it's fun, and I'm skipping ahead now at this point, so I apologize. But from everything that I've heard in the shop, right, and from everything that I've seen through the like apprentice mentorship program that I've been experienced to so far, it's that, and we talked about this too in the slideshow, right? It's not only knowing what you can and should be practicing and what you can and should comfortably be doing, but it also is setting client expectations and setting customer expectations. And the reason why I say this is moving ahead is because Dominic has another comment where he talks about like most of his friends are wanting lettering. You tell them no.
Right.
Like straight up, like you tell them I'm not there yet, right? Like I am, and this is a big part that I've seen in the shop as well as from communicating and making the appointments that I do when I ask if Lele is comfortable with doing something or I ask if Jesse is comfortable with doing something. It's this capacity to know your limit and be able to say, no, I'm going to pass on that because I know I'm not good enough at that yet, or I don't want to put my name on something without them fully knowing X, Y, and Z about where I'm at within my training history, within my expertise, within my whatever. And so yeah, it's like you tell them no, right? Like no color, no shading, no straight lines,
Right.
no what, all of these things. Like just, I'm so sorry. Like I don't feel comfortable doing that. And that I think in the long run will be respected so much more
Yeah.
once you gain the practice and once you gain the experience to where you're like, okay, I've now tattooed a plant leaf or a mushroom, or I've seen some of the ones that are like flamed curvy lines or these things that, like she said, right, aren't symmetrical,
Yeah.
aren't structured with straight lines, aren't exact. So
Yeah.
if you kind of mess up, then overall
And you
the
can fix it
appearance of
typically.
it, yeah, and the appearance of it isn't going to look like,
You're not ruining
oh,
somebody.
we can tell that was supposed to be a straight line and it isn't.
Right.
And just from what I've seen and what I've experienced with scheduling people and with asking for comfortability and from knowing what each artist can and can't do and what I've had to learn through that, it's like you have to tell them no. And I would think, and what I've seen even like Lele do in the past, or what we've done in different scenarios too, is you make the designs. This is what I'm willing to tattoo right now. If you want any of these things or something similar, and you're willing to let me practice, then please let me do these specific things or whatever, right?
Right.
Because if it's a outline of a flower and you're saying, hey, and it's on, for lack of a better word, like a flash sheet or something, you're like, this is what I'm comfortable doing, and someone then reaches out to you with a different flower. Well, if it's an outline and it's something similar, then maybe you're willing to do that within your comfort level. But you also don't want to just, oh, well, I need to practice, so let me just go balls to the freaking walls and
Yeah,
practice.
that's a bad idea.
It's just not,
It's a real bad idea.
It is.
And Christy's actually saying it really well right here. She's also, Christy, this might be the smartest thing you've ever said, that I've ever read. You said that you said I read, or texted and I read, and I guess
And
you
then
said
what
it.
said?
Also, less bad habits are picked up, and that's key. That's exactly it, because you don't want to form bad habits, because then when you do want to work with somebody who's professional in a shop that cares, you're going to be a big red flag. So don't do it. One is, if you're a new artist and you're trying big pieces, you're trying things way not just out of your comfort zone, man. I'm not talking about pushing yourself. I'm talking about things that are inappropriate. Like if you're trying to design sleeves and lettering and straight lines, parallel stuff, the things you first start on should be literally able to be covered up with a thumbprint. That's where you start. Literally, that's where you start. First, you start drawing, and if your drawings suck, don't start tattooing. And then once you start on fake skin, if your fake skin gets pretty good and it looks nice and it looks worth it, then we can start talking about going to real skin. Once you do small stuff that's able to be covered up super easy because you're not screwing up people's futures, then, or just current, like you could be infecting people, you could be hurting them, you could technically be killing people. Like, don't do that. Like, it is a real thing. So be responsible. And the smaller the piece, the less likely any of that's going to happen. It's going to be easy to cover up. It's not going to get infected. It's going to be easy to heal. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's definitely not going to fall off. Then you're going to be playing in the green zone. You do not want to go in the red zone by trying things way out of your skill level. And even if people ask for it, because that's one of the hard parts, is people are like, no, I trust you, just do it. You have to be responsible, not the customer. You are the professional here, or at least pretending to be, in hopes to one day be it. You're the professional who has to say, that's just not something I'm willing to do. And if you work in a shop like mine, I'm going to tell you that is not something you're going to do if you're first starting. You need to do, like Amber Graham said, and Jesse too, just start with things that are achievable, right? And if you're trying things that are just way beyond your scope, then really, in a sense, you're really just truly being irresponsible. So don't do that. You definitely shouldn't be starting out with big pieces. So my advice for people starting is it should be able to be covered with a thumbprint. It should be able to be, you should be able to tattoo this while people have, and I'm not saying this for appropriate reasons, but fully clothed. Like if you have to take a shirt off, whether it's a guy or girl, you probably shouldn't tattoo that, because most likely you're tattooing in places that you just don't belong tattooing yet because of skill level. If they have to, if they can't wear shorts and a tank top while you're tattooing, you're probably tattooing in a place you are not qualified yet to tattoo. Now, I'm also not talking about neck up either. So that doesn't count. So stay away from people's hands and necks. Do things that could be covered. Be responsible and understand people are putting their trust in you, and you have to be trustworthy. And if you're not, and you're going balls to the wall and you're not qualified, you're screwing people up, and you're being it's not just inappropriate, but I don't even know the right word besides you're being a dick. Like that's what you're doing. You're hurting people, and you're giving false sense of security. So don't do that.
So you're not being authentic.
Yeah, definitely not being authentic. Yeah, you're scheming and scamming people, even if they're not paying you, even if it's free. You're still ruining people's physical appearance. So don't do that. Here we go. I'm gonna read this one real quick. For Amber, did you know you were into piercing before you became assistant to Mr. Farmer?
So other than piercing myself and a few friends multiple times throughout my life, which is funny, we actually just talked about this recently, how I've had this like odd bucket list of things I've wanted to do in my life, and how situations have just pointed me in that direction. I've always known I've liked the environment or the aura that the tattoo shop vibe gives off, for lack of a better word. I did not see this happening though. Like this was never a preconceived thought, I guess. I am really good at finding a need and then striving to fill it. And when I first started working at High Sierra Tattoo, and what I still do mainly is answer incoming requests, right? So whether they're emails, whether they're phone calls.
There's no email.
There's no email.
Thank
Not
you,
today,
Siri.
there wasn't. And what I noticed was that the artists that were present when people wanted piercings were not available. And I felt like, for lack of a better way of phrasing it, that for me to become as useful and as valuable to the establishment with which I was trying to help, that I had to at least put it out there. Where I was literally like, hey, Josh, we've gotten 10 phone calls this last week for piercings and people haven't been available to do them. I don't know what it would look like to train me. I have no idea. I don't know. I have no idea, literally, none whatsoever. But if it would be convenient to train me, that way these customers' needs can be met, because anybody who's been pierced knows that it should be a really quick experience. You're in and you're out. It does not take a long time. So it was one of those things where I was like, if I can learn this and essentially not turn away potential clients, because again, you never know where these people are coming from. And that's how I was genuinely viewing it. Whereas, like, if we turn away people for a single cartilage piercing and they decide a year from now, 2 years from now, they want a tattoo, they're going to remember that someone answered the phone and just said, no, sorry, we can't do that. No, sorry, we don't have availability right now. No, sorry, we don't have anyone who does that right now. And they're not going to call us back. And that, I feel like that was a really long-winded answer for that, but
Of asking,
right? But essentially, like, piercing has never bothered me. It's never been something where I've been squeamish to or whatever. But I did not assume that that is eventually what I would be doing. I just saw a need, and within my job description, I felt like it was applicable for me to ask if I could fill it somehow.
True. And so for Amber, did you know you were into piercing before you became an assistant to Mr. Farmer? No.
I don't, not really.
No,
Not really.
not necessarily, because you definitely didn't bring it up to me when we first, and I asked
Yeah.
you. And so that was definitely a conversation we had, figuring out where, how to best fit you in the business and if you're right for the job that we needed. And so, but it turned out that you and Jesse are very similar in the sense that you guys are very qualified and capable and skilled people. So handling things like that, like even Jesse actually has mentioned a few times that she doesn't have a camera again.
I don't need one. Just know I want to learn piercing.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, so Jesse's definitely interested in learning as well, and she's mentioned it multiple times. So there's Jesse in case you guys didn't know.
Jesse and I are taking over the world.
Yep,
is
taking over the
essentially
world.
what's happening.
That's a good attitude.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know.
Yes. Okay. So there's your answer to that. Let's get to the next one. Is have you ever had an apprentice tattoo go so wrong that the customer freaked out? So yes, but not during the tattoo. It was after it was healed and the person had gotten. What always happens is they get feedback from other people and they're like, "Oh, wow, that's not good." And so yes, I have had to fix things, and that's one of the reasons why one of the criteria I have for apprentices is that your first tattoo should be small. They should be really, really small. They should be simple in nature. They should be just like we've been talking about all night, organic and not necessarily super parallel lines or anything super complicated. They should be very basic and easy. One of the reasons is because I might have to fix it, and I'm not going to spend 6 hours fixing your mistake. So if I see an apprentice trying something, which is basically what happened during this occasion of a client being dissatisfied with the apprenticeships or the apprentice's tattoo they gave him, I had to fix it. And the reason I was irritated is because it was going to take me about 3 hours. And that's just not cool to do to me. So that's why I have that criteria. One of the things that I like to do as a fail-safe is let all the apprentices know that you have to run, as an apprentice, you have to run every single tattoo by me before you do it. Every single one. And they suck at doing that, by the way.
Not Lele.
She does. She
Sorry,
sucks at
Lele's, no.
She
really?
sucks at telling me. She doesn't always do it. And so sometimes she'll do something. Now, in her defense, Lele is some sort of wizard. I mean, she's a craftsman for sure. She cares.
She's
She
a
really,
queen.
yeah, she quares.
She
Because she cares and she's a queen. She queens.
quains.
She queens. There we go. That should be it. So but at the same time, I still, look, it's in the end, it's all on me. It's in my business. And what's going to happen is I'm going to have to fix it if someone bails or quits or it doesn't work out. So the reason why you have to run it by me is for that exactly. So that I don't get stuck doing things that somebody comes back and says it just needs to get gone back over. Well, I don't want to spend 6 hours doing that. So that's why I have that. But also, I don't want them to overextend and screw people up unnecessarily. So we want to be responsible with that. Okay, let's get to the next question. Dominic says, thanks. Every new tattoo I do I'm hella surprised with myself. Like, I don't know what I'm capable of. Well, that's a good feeling. That's a really good feeling, but just don't get Don't get shiny object syndrome there, Dominic. Still stay humble and stay appropriate. Stay humble, stay small. No, don't.
Stay simple.
Yeah, stay within the realm of. Look, you are responsible for people's physical health and appearance. That's your job as a tattooer, right? Health department requirement, for example, is they require us to let people know that tattoos are permanent. They literally require that we tell our clients that, as if it's not obvious. You'd be surprised, and I have literally had people not know that and be pissed that it wouldn't come off. So just saying, those people, warning labels exist for a reason. So you have to understand that you have to be responsible. You're going to have plenty of clientele that are irresponsible. People that are underage are going to ask you. People's parents that have kids that are underage are going to say, "Oh, it's okay with me. It's okay with you," and it's not. It's not okay. It's illegal. So it's not okay under any circumstances. Certain piercings, certain tattoo, any tattoo, and certain piercings, it's not okay. So you have to be responsible for that. That's why working out of your home, that's why doing it unprofessionally, cutting corners is a real bad idea. It's very unprofessional, and you are not helping yourself. You're hurting yourself. People don't want to listen to me when I say that, but I'm not saying that to keep you as not competition, because you're not my competition. You're your own competition. I'm not worried about anything other than people doing it wrong, giving the industry a bad name, and also just ruining their own reputation. And, I believe in community. If somebody's local, especially, be responsible and do it correctly and stop screwing people up. Stay small, stay simple. That sounds so mean, obviously within the context of tattooing, but stay small, stay simple, and do your best to get an apprenticeship, because otherwise you're really honestly just doing it wrong. Okay, let's get to the last one, at least that was submitted recently. I like what Kim said about that. What we were talking about earlier was that it's reckless. It's reckless to do things that are out of your wheelhouse. Like, don't do it. It is reckless. You can hurt people, and you will. It's not that you can, you will. Carson says, I want to try out those pen cartridges that fit into machines. Jesse, have you ever seen those? Oh, look, the camera works.
Often.
Yeah?
Mhm.
Have you ever seen a mic before?
Oh, I have.
It's so far away from her mouth, I just assumed she was scared of it or something. But those pen cartridges, they look cool. Like, it looks,
Oh, they do.
to me, it looks fun to use.
Yeah.
I mean, to try out, I think would be awesome, but I still don't think that anything is going to trump putting a needle in your machine, going to fake skin or real skin, especially starting with fake skin. It's a very useful thing to do. So I think, how much fake skin time do you think you have compared to tattoo time, Jesse?
Oh, now probably a lot more tattoo time than fake skin time.
Right. But when you first started, you probably understood, like, I have to learn how to do this, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to be like, well, I just got a machine. Now I'm going to go ahead and take it to skin.
Amazon came.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's crazy.
I definitely started with that. I also started with a coil machine rather than a rotary. Coil machine a lot harder to get used to.
Coil machine hard.
But
that was so caveman of you.
It's so fun.
They're so caveman-ish and they're so hard.
It is so fun using a coil machine. It's definitely like taking it back. And also I had to build it and set it up myself. So I'm sure that had some flaws with that too.
Mm-hmm.
But switching to rotary and using cartridge needles, a lot of fun. A lot of fun getting to know, a lot of fun just using in general.
Yeah.
Getting used to and everything like that. But
do you think everybody should have to learn a coil machine if you're going to be a tattooer?
I think you should. I think if you're going to be tattooing long term, definitely you should at least use a coil machine twice in your life. Like, just know the roots kind of thing.
Sure.
Like, I know that's not probably the very first way people started tattooing, but it's the more recent, back in the day kind of.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that everybody was using coils. Matter of fact, it was only about 4 years ago I switched to rotaries, and some of my friends are like, "Oh, you're going with," well, there's certain words they call them. I won't say them on air, but they definitely look like certain parts of the male anatomy, and so they make fun of you for sure. And it's less made fun of now over the last 4 years because it's more standard. But learning with coils is important, and I think of it like music. If you love music, is anybody in the room a huge music fan? Like, music is like a massive part of your life. Anybody? No? Like, would you say is like huge, right? So Barkus is nodding, yes. Okay, let me ask you this. How important would it be to you to listen to a record? Like, if I said you could never listen to a record, how much do you think you'd be missing? They can't hear you, so I'll translate it. But do you think you'd be missing out on something huge? Because you don't have to listen to records now, right? They're kind of a thing of the past. But if you didn't listen to a record, do you feel like you'd be missing out on something pretty big in regards to music? A huge part of like what the experience is, the crackle, the feel, the smell, like even just having music, which now you don't, it's all online, but having the ability to like have this thing, put it on there, mechanically make it all work, turn it on, listen to it, reset it, scratch it on accident, and just hear that this is a delicate thing. I think you'd be missing out. I think if you've never heard a record, that'd be really in person, that crackle, that sizzle sort of sound. Yeah, I think you'd be missing out on a musical experience. You don't have to do it, but how dumb if everything you listen to was always in headphones and digital. That would just be, to me, kind of, it'd be like not going to a concert live. So Barkus agrees. She's just agreeing with me. I like Barkus. She doesn't have a mic, so she's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Okay. Yeah, 100. If you're not seeing music live, you're missing something about music that you'll never know. It's like living your whole life and never having a psychedelic experience. I don't mean actual drugs. I just mean in general. We can do that. Shouldn't have thrown that out there. You kids watching, be responsible. Drugs are bad. Okay. But wait, Jesse, you love mushrooms. Just in general.
I love the shape of mushrooms.
Yeah, they're
and
cool.
What they look like.
Right. They're,
Can't say I've ever partaken such.
of course
things.
you can't. Who would?
Not
Degenerates.
On air.
Degenerates.
Not, on air.
Not ever.
If.
Not even in
ever.
life.
Drugs are bad.
Drugs are bad.
Dare
Drugs
to
are
drugs.
bad.
Dare.
Dare.
Dare to do drugs.
Dare to say no to drugs, Jesse.
Oh, sorry.
Dare to do drugs. Jesus.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I got the bad memo of that
Yeah.
elementary school
Yep.
learning experience.
She didn't read the shirt.
Yeah.
She didn't read the shirt.
I thought that's how it went.
It's there to keep kids off drugs. Just so
Oh.
you know. Dare to
Yeah,
keep kids
just say
off drugs.
no.
Rochelle is saying, I love her. Amber style. Good job on making it happen. Amber
love
style. I
Rochelle.
kind of dig that. Amber style.
It's true. It's a thing.
There's an Amber style.
It is.
That's right. Amber
That's what
Graham.
I'm here for.
Aficionado. Okay. Dominic's on here saying, yes, sir, will do. Probably in regards to some of the advice we're giving on what he should or shouldn't be doing as a new apprentice or as a new tattooer. Or
No straight lines.
yeah. I'd love.
I only say that because literally, even like I said, I'm not learning how to tattoo. And the things that I have heard over and over again, right, are
Yeah.
no straight lines, no circles, no symmetry. None of that.
Just
like
don't.
just don't do that
Mhm.
to start. It needs to be small and simple. No straight lines, no symmetry, no circles.
Right. Very true. Very much true. Okay, let's see if we have any more Q&As. Otherwise, I think we're going to wrap it up. We went for almost 2.5 hours. We did really good. If you guys have any questions, you want to throw them in right now, would be the time. If not, I hope you got something out of it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We're going to get to the last bit of it here. But if you want to throw something there, don't be afraid. It looks like Jessie over here. Look at her. She's doing sign language.
Hugs, not drugs.
She just wanted to
Thanks,
say that.
Kim.
So she's like, give me a chance to let me come back.
Jesse, you don't even like hugs.
I know. I'm not a hugger. I don't like when people touch me.
Wow, she's a tattooer. Okay. Let's saying anyone. I don't pre-screen these, but that's okay. Amber, Graham, will you read this for me?
Of course. It says, but that's like saying anyone who wants to be a photographer should learn film. Honestly, I have no desire for film versus digital.
You're exactly right. It's not a requirement, but I can tell you right now, for most photographers that really care about their craft, this is their job. There is a nostalgia, right? There's this nostalgic element to going into a red room. If you've never done it, it's like not going to a concert, but listening to music only digitally. I promise you, you will not know what you're missing out on. So developing actual film is quite a strange, interesting experience. And from the smell of it to the danger of it, like understanding film and like the way it used to be, how flamboyant, flammable, how flammable film used to be, how toxic it used to be, and still technically some versions of it are. And doing that, I think you're missing out on a part of it. Just like if you're tattooing and you're not using coils ever, I think I know you're missing out on something you just can't understand any other way. So I do think it's very important. Plus, the difference between film and digital in regards to photography, we're talking about the last 20 years has been pretty digital. In tattooing, people absolutely still use on a regular basis coils. This is not that far in the past that we shouldn't be dipping into it. So that's an important point to make. Okay, absolutely need record still. Christy agrees. That's awesome. Okay, let's see. Hugs, not drugs. Thank Kim. That's what you guys are talking about. Christy says, oh my God, did you script that? I don't know what part you're talking about, Christy, but of course we didn't. Did we?
None of this is scripted except for the PowerPoint.
None of this is scripted. Okay, for the next slide.
Okay.
It's all chaos.
Pure
It is all
chaos.
chaos.
Here, these slides are coming up. They're AI generated. As we speak, they pop up. Yes, so there we go. Dominic says, it's like learning the history of the craft you love the most. Dude, a good point, Dominic. The smartest thing you've said all night. 100%. I guess I could have just done this because that was good. Because truthfully, I feel like you're clapping. Thank you.
We love the
for
sound
Dominic.
effects.
So it's like learning the history of the craft you love the most. Super, super important. Learning it. Look, if you really love something, you're going to look into that. Like if you love tattooing, you're going to look into the history. If you love photography, you're going to look into history. If you love astrology,
I don't actually know shit about
I
astrology.
like how you
I like to pretend I do.
Yeah. What's your sign?
Yeah.
But if you love astrology, you'll look into the history of it. You'll look at where it comes from. You look
Or
at the
piercings.
science.
Sorry, but
Or
piercings
piercings.
have a huge history, which I think
Sure.
is absolutely fascinating.
Ancient. This
Ancient.
goes back as far as we know humans have lived.
Anything that has been practiced for ceremonial reasons blows my mind.
Right.
Tattooing falls under that as well. but
Absolutely. Human sacrifice, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Don't tempt me to sacrifice.
Jeez. Oh my gosh, it's getting late. Okay. Interesting. Yep, Jesse wants it. Okay, this is I might have to go.
believe in you, Amber.
This is great. This is great. Okay.
Trust us. Come get piercings and tattoos.
And then get sacrificed, I guess.
Yes. Okay, so Kim is saying it develops the skill. So she's in regards to learning the old ways, is maybe even in regards to learning the history. It develops the skill. You're exactly right. Matter of fact, there's that famous quote about history that if you don't learn your history, you're doomed to repeat it. I actually think you're doomed to repeat history anyway. So the real key is that if you don't learn history, you don't know what you're doomed to repeat. So you don't know what game to play. So I actually think that that's true. Like, for example, film, right, wasn't the first way that they took photography. It was acid and chemicals and other methods. That died off pretty quickly because it was really dangerous and sick and expensive. It was very sick. No, it got people sick. It was very dangerous and expensive. And then film came, and then film had its bout, and now it's digital. And I don't think digital's going anywhere. People say, what are you going to do if the internet crashes? Dude, do you realize that what you're saying, the internet crashes, we have way bigger problems than worrying about photography. Like you're talking World War III type stuff. Anyways, end of the world type things. So all I'm saying is, yes, you absolutely should understand the history and use the tools and, I love the tactile feel of older equipment, right? It's just something new about it, as opposed to everything now that's so sterile and, I guess safe, right? It's like toys when we were kids. When I was a kid, they were made of metal. They had
And
sharp
lead.
edges, like they could kill
Lead.
you. Jeez.
Lead.
Lead
Hey,
poisoning.
just lead.
That's what you
Lead.
get.
That's what you do. You get your lead.
You get your lead. and
Paint
that's
your
what
window
you
seals with
die
lead.
Put your clothes in the lead dresser.
Yeah.
Put it in the drawers. Get your drawers out. Yeah, that's crazy. So
Lead.
I think it's important to stay away from lead, regardless of its historical significance. Okay, so it does develop the skill. Kim, thanks for saying that. And Rochelle says, gotcha. Gotcha. There's another word after that, but I'm not going to say it. Okay. Dominic says, tattooing is my passion, so of course I want to experience all aspects of it. I have all 6 of my dad's coil machines. That's really cool. I actually think it's weird because people are going to start saying that because, again, I grew up on it. I've tattooed for eons with coils. That's all we had. And to think that they're going to be the things we start passing down is like kind of strange, but that's what happens as you get older, guys. You're all going to experience it. You'll see. And that's just how it works. Okay, Brody Jade, let's go ahead and read that, Jesse, for me.
What is the difference for you in the electronic and pen machines? I'm assuming coil versus rotary. So for coil, I also, like I said, I built it myself. So starters, it was a lot more shaky with the needle. That's user error, I can say.
Yeah,
Because
there's a lot of vibration in those, especially if they're not running right. I mean,
Oh.
it's insane. Like the ink splatters everywhere like a paintbrush.
And Josh has done a whole class with me on coil machines and the proper way of setting them up and everything. And I can tell you, was not doing the proper way.
She's like, nope, Not it. Wasn't
Luckily,
it?
I only ever used a coil machine on fake skin. So my lines were a lot shakier. It was definitely a hard thing to get used to. When I first switched over to rotary, it was a major difference with the pen cartridge, like the pen and the cartridges and everything like that. My lines were a lot cleaner starting on fake skin. Still had a lot to deal with and work through, but they were a lot better than coil machine. But that's also me not getting used to the coil machine. I didn't use it for very long.
Right.
It was definitely an experience that I needed to have, I think, but I'm glad I switched to what I do now.
Yeah, it's a huge advantage to have the modern machines, especially for people who do really complex pieces like what I'm doing, really colorful stuff, different needle groupings. Sometimes I have 4 or 5 different needles out. It's not unusual for me to have 4 or 5. And then with coils, you would have to get out 4 or 5 machines. Whereas if I have the rotary, which is a pen style machine, I could just click in a different cartridge, which is the needles, and switch them out that way. And it's fast. And because sometimes you're gloved up with a machine, you're like, man, I really don't want to have to change gloves, grab a different machine. So what you do is cut corners. Sometimes that's actually not a bad thing because you learn how to use tools a new way because it limits you to what you can use. So I learned with 9 mags how to do just about anything, whether it's line, shade, pack, blend, doesn't matter. A coil, liner, coil. I could pack, shade, blend, doesn't matter with like a 9 mag, which is really unusual for you non-tattooers out there. It's just one grouping needle of 9 needles stacked on top of each other, 4 and 5. And I can pretty much do a whole portrait. Where now when I'm doing portraits, I'm spoiled with these new pen machines. I got like 6 different needles out, right? Looks like Evergram has something to add to this.
I just want to kind of point out to the like failure aspect of this and how to like accept that, right? And to realize that you should still be trying regardless. Because if you think of those who tattooed before you and were good at it, they were not half as spoiled as you were.
That's 100% true.
They did not have Procreate. They did not have stencil printers. They did not have rotary machines. They did not have all like it's like for you to be like, oh well, I suck at this. Well, like you have it the easiest as anyone in human history has had. So suck it up and try a little bit harder. Because if you're going to strive to be like these famous tattoo artists who have been famous for 30, 40, 50 years, who have gone down in history, who are literally in the books about the origins of tattooing in the United States and X, Y, and Z and all the things, realize that what you're having to go through to learn isn't half of what they had to go through. Even I know that you've talked, and not endlessly, but countlessly several times, right, about your own scenarios and what you had to learn.
Endlessly is fine.
Endlessly. But like, you've talked about it, right?
Yeah.
And how you have to build your own machine. And you have to know someone who knows how to build machines for you to even get that far.
Otherwise, you're going to saw somebody's arm off.
Or you're going to, exactly.
It happens.
Just kidding. It's just a Tuesday.
Just kidding. Classic Tuesday, you know?
Classic Tuesday.
Just another day at the office.
But like how it almost makes me want to look at those people and go, how dare you?
Yeah.
Like, how dare you behave like you have it that hard? And I know we've talked about this, right?
You are mean.
There's not textbooks. I am mean.
All right, Amber.
How dare you?
Settle
right?
down. How do you feel about Jesse? Do you feel attacked? Because you guys are in the safe space, so I can't help you.
There's not.
Yeah, a little bit.
There definitely weren't Instagram accounts. There weren't YouTube videos. Yeah. There weren't tutorials. There weren't ready built machines. Literally none of this was available 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And so for you to even assume that you can get half as good as these other artists without putting in equal amount of time is ridiculous, because even with the equal amount of time, the resources that you have available to you are significantly more.
Yeah. So there's something I like to point out in regards to that with it, because it's all touching on technology. That's what we're actually talking about, is the barrier of technology. It's very, I've said this almost every episode. It's important to point out, especially for this one, for people wanting to learn this stuff. You have to understand that the different the gap between an artist or a creative person and the thing they want to make, the gap between them and that thing is the tools you have. In the past, you had to literally get well, they still use horse's hair and different animals and stuff for paintbrushes, but you had to mix paints, you had to make paints, you had to you couldn't just go buy crimson. You had to make this stuff. You had to find it or find somebody who could make it for you. It wasn't
or
just
sacrifice
at
a
Michael's
human, use
or
their blood.
yep, you could absolutely do that. So if you want brown though, it's not actually, it doesn't turn
It's
red.
not right.
So all I'm saying
Fair.
is if you understand that there's an artist or a creative person who wants to make some sort of expression, right? Whether it's whether it's poetry or a painting or a tattoo, it doesn't matter what it is. And the barrier between those two things is the tools. So in the past, the tools took forever, right? That's the whole idea of like inventing the wheel, and then now we have jets and we can go to the moon, apparently. So what?
Oh.
So far as we know, in a LA
Stay
Hollywood
tuned
site.
for our next episode.
Stage 2.
Did they
To the
really
right.
go to the moon?
Did they? And episode. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna go down that route one day. So all I'm saying is that the barrier between making something and the creative artist is the tools. The tools always get refined, and then eventually the craft dies. Because what happens is, so think about this. Now it doesn't go away completely. It dies as
as an art form.
Yeah, it dies as a medium for that period, right? Like, for example, like people are really not going to go back to bones unless like the world completely collapses. We're not going to go back to using bones and soot and fire necessarily anymore with this stuff. Speak for yourself. They're over here just etching away, but
I regularly
over here.
soot.
she's in her house, like she goes full cave woman, making. So, anyways, all I'm saying is the tools are getting to the point to where it's like Mozart. Think about what you had to do to make that symphony. Think about what you had to do to make a piece as classically in a symphonic sort of ambiance of this masterpiece. What had to happen for that to come together and for people to watch it from all over the country for 6-7 hours at a time in a stadium. Now you can just like listen to a part of it, like in the comfort of your home. What I'm saying is the tools are the things between the creative person and the end result. And as that starts to diminish to the point where there's almost nothing between it, like AI, I could just say, hey, design, look, here's what's coming. Goggles are coming. I'm not going to go down this route with tech, but this is a good example. Goggles are already here. It's over. And what's going to happen is you're going to wear them and you're going to look at somebody's arm. There's already tutorials on this. People are already literally starting to use this. And the artist can wear the goggles and see the design on the person and then just trace it instead of a stencil. And it's going to revolutionize the way we tattoo, which means, I hate to tell you, almost damn near a monkey could do portraits one day. That's what's going to happen. The barrier between the artist and the art is the tool. And now that the tools are disappearing, those things eventually become like Mozart, they're novelty. And now we're off to the new thing, whatever it may be, like social media. Eventually that will be old, and then the new thing will come. Just like video editing and photography. If anybody's into that stuff now, there's tools now that are wizardry. They're terrifying, actually. They're so good. Whether they're video editors or photo editors, they're insanely good. So the tools are disappearing to the point to where eventually, really, I hate to say it this way, but any idiot, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, idiots, but any idiot can go out there and just do any of this stuff. That's what's going to happen. It's kind of like driving. Like pretty much any idiot can drive, and you can prove that living here in California. Okay, I don't want to miss any of these. Jesse's like,
Me.
100%, no doubt. And Ambergram, she's at the wheel like this. They can't see me. That's it. Okay.
Probably. Just gonna add a few curse words.
Brody Jade says these girls need to be on a Wednesday episode. I don't disagree. I think that's the second smartest thing said all night.
I think you just need to have like a once a month Wednesday episode where it's just me and Jesse talking, because I think you would entertain people.
That sounds like chaos.
I love it.
We all just
I
bullshit and it'll be a great time.
It'll be fantastic. Let's do it.
What do you think, Jesse?
It'll be so much fun.
100%. Okay.
Jesse,
I'm super
will
down.
provide. How about Josh tells us what Wednesday? I provide all of the Pinot Grigio you could want.
It's my favorite.
Okay, we talk about
Yeah.
human sacrifice.
You guys are getting a
And
little
our
crazy.
opinions.
No, I'm just
Me
kidding.
not knowing shit about human sacrifice.
I don't know nothing about
And
that.
As far as you
and me
know.
not knowing anything about coil machines, we just have a good conversation.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Just all talking about shit we don't know.
Yeah.
I'm down
Let's do
to not participate. This is awesome. Super fun.
You can edit. You can
oh, thank
move,
you.
You can move the camera back and forth.
So sweet of you. That is, I can move it back and forth. Just shake the table.
We're like, all right, this is our show now. Sorry, Josh.
Welcome
Bye.
to
Yeah.
Artistic Freedom
Yeah.
with your hosts.
Freedom.
Jesse and Amber, we're gonna do great, and you're gonna
Freedom
love
artistic.
it. I swear.
You're a drunk mom. Okay.
Not even close.
The last comment is, and this is in regards to the tech of stencils and goggles, or goggles and stencils. What if they wiggle too much? Stencils seem more sensible. Everything seems more sensible until the tech gets so good that it seems more sensible, right? That's just how that works. We didn't used to stencil things in the past. Humans would just literally go to town and make designs. So they would build it in a unique way. Now that we have stencils, those are more practical. Eventually, mark my words, in the next few years, most artists are not going to be doing stencils. They're going to be using some sort of tech. And if they, like, we already have machines that don't do hand stencils. Sorry. We already have machines that keep us from doing hand stencils. You just feed it through a printer or print an image and it makes a stencil for you. You just put it on the skin. No more hand stencils. So everything's changing and it's fun to see. I'm not against it. I embrace it until it comes to the goggles that I don't embrace. That is the thing. You know what's crazy, Amber? Did I tell you that I'm going to do my best to refrain from everywhere? That's one thing I will 100% stay away from. Have I said that to you, Jesse? The goggles are the thing that
Oh, yeah.
like I don't want it.
You're like, never. I will never
Yes.
try one. And then
That
the
is the
last time I
thing.
talked to you, you were like,
Dude,
those
these
things are
goggles.
kind of awesome.
Oh no, I'm not saying
But-
they're not. It's like Coke. It's a really. Oh, sorry. I mean, it's like Coca-Cola
I
is
don't-
really good, but it's not good for
But
you.
it's not
I
good
don't
for
like Coke.
you.
I just like the smell of it, you know?
Right. Coca-Cola has a smell to it. Oh, the fizzies, like the bubbles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what I was going to say though about the goggles, this is interesting because this just came up. Is I'm super against them because I think I know where this is all going, and I'm just not interested in going down that path. I just don't want to live like that. I don't want my grandkids to live like that. I don't want to live like that. And I see it already happening to these young kids being glued inside of their goggles. It's insane. It's already started, and I've been warning people about this for years.
It started like 10 years ago.
It's-
in all honesty.
Well, it started when TV started.
Okay.
They just
Accurate.
people
No, I'll give
started
you that.
zoning the fuck out.
TV dinners.
TV dinners did it all.
Damn it.
The occasional beer and a Salisbury steak.
Oh, God.
Dude, and I
And they're
love.
so bad, they're like,
Shh, hey, stop it.
sorry.
So
I'm a
With the
vegetarian,
mashed
so it doesn't
potatoes
matter
and the
anyways.
corn. You know it came with mashed potatoes and corn. Don't lie. That's what it came with.
Jesse,
My camera went off.
for a reason.
It said no more of this girl.
It said, you don't like
Gosh.
Salisbury steak in a microwave? What's wrong
Yes.
with
That's
you?
She's
my
like,
bad.
Beep. No camera. We need a
No
little
camera.
bleep button. So what I was going to say though about the goggles is that I've mentioned obviously that I'm going to be opposed to them. I don't want to wear them, and I'm going to do my best 100% to stick to those words for the rest of my life. I watched a video the other night that made me think I might not be able to refrain from it. That's how serious it's getting so quickly. For one small example, this is a little off topic, but it shows you that the tech is this powerful. People fly drones now in wars to drop lethal
Weapons.
projectiles, right? Yes. Try not to say certain words because you're not allowed to.
Oh.
Stupid. It's dumb.
Really?
In regards to WAR, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Super dumb. While there's one going on, you have to be really careful with it, and they will, yeah. So what I'm saying though now is they have teenage kids who are really good at video games flying these things with goggles on so that they can navigate them. So this might be so practical eventually that you might not have a choice if you need to be able to protect yourself or have the tools to be able to combat others who have these tools. If you don't have it, I'm just saying, man, that's scary to think. But that's a totally different topic. I'm just saying I do want to reject that technology, and it might not be as easy as it sounds. So we'll see in the far future. I'm going to stick to my word for as long as I can.
How about we just like create a barrier where if that's what it comes down to, you're more than welcome to use goggles. You're never
yeah.
allowed to use goggles to tattoo.
For anything else, I
For
definitely
anything
won't.
else.
But first, look, for survival or anything that's like for my or my family's or my community's, protection, no, all rules are out the window. I'm all in, whatever it takes. Okay, let me get to the last of these. We're gonna call it a night here, but I'm gonna read these last few comments and then we'll give you guys our little outro. Brody says, Kim, your tamale pie.
Yeah, because Kim said she would
Jeez.
join us for me and Jesse taking over your show.
Oh, that's fun.
Saying.
And they're going to bring
So,
tamale pie, my
Yeah.
favorite dish.
Yeah,
I'm putting goggles on.
you can be here. I said you gotta move the cameras. So
Oh, someone's got to move the cameras.
someone has to.
With the goggles, there has to be some level of like knowing the skin with tattooing. There, you can't just jump into goggles. I don't like it. I don't agree.
I don't like it.
That's funny. Okay, so we got Levi on here. What's up, Levi? Good to see you. He's saying coil machines are handmade works of art themselves and sick as tits, which is pretty sick, actually, if we're talking about witches' titties. Hand stenciling is just more lining. I don't know. None of it made sense. Hand stenciling is just more lining practice. LOL. You're exactly right, actually, that if you want, there's times where I hand stencil things like portraits because, like, man, Barkus has this awesome portrait. Fucking so awesome.
Where's my Barkus?
So good.
Come show your arm.
She's like,
Here.
oh, it is covered.
Oh.
Yeah, we covered it. But anyway,
It's
that
beautiful.
portrait, I will hand stencil because I need to study the image before I tattoo it. And there's no better way to do it than hand stencil it. So that's definitely an important thing. Plus, it's really good hand practice because you have to really press on those stencils. So it gives you a really good, nice, strong, G.I. Joe Kung Fu grip. Am I allowed to say that? Even though we know
So
what it means.
then, do you think that people who are interested in tattooing should hand stencil over using a printer to start?
Yeah, so that's what I was kind of saying earlier too, that if you're just starting, go to pen, go to paper, and make stencils
Cool.
religiously. That's what I was saying while you're on your phone listening.
I'm just clarifying. You got to bring out the most important points multiple times for people to catch on.
That was so mean. Jesse, back me up.
She's full of mean comments, and I like it.
Spicy. Okay, no, but you are
No
you are,
straight lines,
you
no
are right.
lettering.
You are right. No straight lines. Let's just go over the whole episode. No straight lines. Run a business like a family and own it. Okay. Anyways,
Own the family.
Family. Sacrifice humans.
wow. Christy said Jesse's cam is on a timer. That's
Yeah.
probably not.
Probably true.
It's
the
like, all
worst
right,
thing.
she's done.
Yes. Ladies, before we call it a night, is there anything you would like to add to tonight's conversation that you think people should hear that we didn't touch on, or that you would like to, Amber Graham, reiterate?
I love reiterating. My favorite thing.
Reiterate. Okay, Jesse, now.
Reiterating. So
reiterating in 3, 2, 1.
you only fail if you quit. That's the only real failure, is giving up on yourself. The end.
There you go. Okay. And Jesse, how about you?
Learn from those failures. Don't keep failing and being like, well, I'm going to try same thing and hope for a different outcome, because that's dumb.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
It is.
Learn and thrive. Be better.
And when you said learn from those failures, I was like, no, that just sounded like you're going to go find a bunch of failures in life. Like, hey, you failure. I'm going to learn from you.
Yeah, you're doing horrible. Let me just take
This is
that on.
awesome. Homeless, let's do it. Okay, so let's see. What do we got here? This is, if nothing else, remember these 3 things, which we just kind of mentioned, but tattooing is the product, not the business, right? We went over that at the beginning of tonight's show. Tattooing is the product, not the business. A business is pretty much every business, right? Like, it doesn't really matter what the product or service is. Business is business. You got accounting, you got software, you got, overhead, you have bills, you have things like anything from taxes and licenses to customer service, techniques. Matter of fact, if you're a business, you have systems, which I will absolutely say is something we need to really put the work into. You need tried and true systems that work, that any dummy could come in, take, and go, oh, I could do that thing. Otherwise, you don't have a business. If somebody can't come in and replace you, by definition, you don't have a business. You own a job. So tattooing is the product, not the business. Proper use of social media is necessary. It's no longer an option like people think it used to be. They'd be like, I don't really do social media. Yeah, cool. Who are you? So proper use of social media is really, really necessary because it isn't social media. It's humans on the other side of a digital platform. So you cannot look at it as that's Instagram, that's YouTube, that's a like and a subscriber. Those are people on the other end. Treat them as such. Otherwise, look, if you're not a good customer yourself, then you're not going to get good customers. So if you think about what being a good customer would be, think about it. How would you like it if somebody got a really cool service from you or a product and they went and said nothing to anybody else about it? But how cool would it be if somebody got that product or service from you and they went and told people and tagged you and said something and reposted it and then reposted it again and then supported you and you got an event and they repost that. That is huge. That goes so far. Be a really good customer for a business or a service or a product. And I can tell you right now, it will teach you everything you need to know about running a business and how to make those things happen too. So use the proper social media tools if necessary. Yep. It's weird. I went all night with sounding like I don't have a speech impediment until it finally shows up. But I could just do that all night if I wanted to. So, and the last part, Amber, why don't you take it away with the end, and you and Jesse can show me your guys' social media skills here by ending the night with the number 3 there.
You never fail.
Follow my art account. Art of
Oh
Jesse.
my God.
Really?
Unless you quit, Jesse. All you had to do was
Oh,
read.
Sorry.
Come on, you don't have astigmatism. What's wrong
Unless
with you?
quit. I can't
Don't
read
quit.
though.
You're- That's why she's always asking me to check her stencils for typos.
If I don't spell check it at least 3 times, I'm having nightmares about it. I'm like, that was spelled wrong.
That's hilarious. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining me tonight. You did awesome. Ambergram,
Yeah.
you are rad, and everybody already knows it. Jesse, thank you so much. I've actually told everybody you were coming on the show, and they were excited. Barkus, I can't show you, but I can showing you that I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. You guys watching, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got something out of this. If you did, it's really cool to hear back from you. DM us, message us, join next classes. In-person classes are available. They're really cool. They're super fun. You should come. We get really mean and tell you some really hurtful stuff so that you can succeed in life.
I'm really good at being mean.
She really
You
is.
guys didn't
No,
realize.
she's really, she's not. She's definitely not lying.
I'm a little too nice. I'm sorry.
Lies.
I'm sorry. I'm a little too
Unless I
nice.
drink twisted teas.
Blasphemy.
The human sacrificer. She's a little too nice.
A little too nice.
Yes.
No, see, here's the thing with that is we learned it didn't work to control the weather, so we stopped doing it.
Oh.
And so that's what you should get from that is if you learn that something doesn't work, you should stop doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Brody Jade says, I love Amber's services, and she's now stuck with me, my mom, and my sis for life.
I love it.
And of course, as always, thanks for sending the emojis. Appreciate it. Barkus is on here. She's saying, I'm so proud of you, Joshua and Jesse and Amber. 100%. This was super fun. Thank you guys. Super cool. What a good night. I think we killed it.
Jesse back next time.
Yep. I
We're
think,
taking over.
yes, I think we 100% killed it. And you guys will see more of the girls on the episodes. That was fun. It's been real and it's been fun. And it's almost been real fun. But we're going to close it out. Thank you guys for joining us. Get in the comment section. You know what to do. And we'll see you next time. So peace out.